Welcome back, everybody, to episode 20 of the Back Lounge podcast. I can't believe we're at 20 episodes already, man. My name's Tank. I'm your host, and I'm a roadie with over 15 years of experience in the touring music industry. And on this podcast, we get to talk to artists, band members, other roadies, and anybody else in the world of music, and we just have conversations about whatever we want. This is not a Q&A. I don't prepare anything. We just hit record and just see what happens, and these are always fun. And for this 20th episode, I wanted to do something fun. I wanted to invite on somebody that I've actually spent a lot of time with on the road, somebody that I could exchange stories with. And that person is my friend, Andy Shaw. He's also been touring for quite a while. He's a lighting tech, a lighting director, a stage manager. He's worked in a lot of shops, and he's just a huge nerd and also streams on Twitch. A lot of you guys from our community might know him by the name Hobby Time. Now, going into this, I knew that we were going to be telling a lot of stories. But after editing this podcast, I really realized if there's an episode of this that gets me in trouble for any reason, for saying too much or talking about things I shouldn't, this is going to be the episode, man, because while I do this a lot, and when I tell stories online and on the podcast and on YouTube, I leave a lot of names out. I refer to people by their job titles on the road, unless it's like an artist or a tour that everybody knows I was a part of. I don't mind doing that, but I'm used to omitting names while I'm talking. Shaw, I don't think really is, because as we started going here, he just started naming names. And then I just gave up and started naming names too, because I figured, you know what, we can just edit this in post. You know, we're not here to call people out or air dirty laundry or get people in trouble or anything like that. So I have gone through this and edited names out. There are over 75 names that were omitted from this podcast just because we didn't have permission to talk about other people or share those stories, and because I didn't feel comfortable just putting those people on the spot. Even though you may not know them, I don't feel comfortable dropping names. So if you hear this sound, yeah, that familiar sound that everybody's probably going to know, that means somebody who we named has been omitted from the podcast. But for those of you out there that love tour stories and just stupid shit from behind the scenes, this is the podcast for you. I mean, we do have some serious moments where we got into like my sobriety on the road because Shaw was there while I was going through that, and some of his relationship problems while he was touring. Most of this is just goofy stories and us reminiscing and just laughing about really dumb stuff that probably we only find funny. So I really hope you guys enjoy this one. This one was for all of you that just want stupid, ridiculous tour stories, because we've got about 2.5 hours of it. So this might take you multiple listens, but I promise there's going to be a lot of laughs in here. Now, this will probably be the last podcast of 2022. As we go into 2023, we've got more episodes lined up. We're going to keep doing this because this is super fun, but I just want to take this moment to thank every single one of you that are listening to this podcast, because, you know, to be 100% honest with you guys, the podcast doesn't do as well as the YouTube content and the Twitch and stuff like that, because podcasts are a very niche thing. People really, you know, want to be invested in it if they have to spend time. And a lot of people like shorter form videos on YouTube and stuff. So to all of you that spend the time listening to these, thank you very much. This is super fun to do. And, you know, I hope you have a great holiday, regardless of what holiday you are celebrating, because everybody's different around the world. But I don't want to waste too much more time. I want to get into this one because this is a longer episode. But before we start, Andy Shaw, our guest, does stream on Twitch. You can find him at twitch.tv/hobbytime168. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll have links to all of his social media in the description of this video. And before we start, that's probably a good time to remind you guys, this podcast is available in a lot of different places. You could jump on YouTube, and my YouTube channel is youtube.com/TankTheTech. If you want to actually see us on screen laughing and goofing around, you can watch it there. But the audio versions are also available on Spotify, Apple, Google, and anywhere else that you want to listen to a podcast. So there are many, many ways that you can listen. But now that that's out of the way, buckle up. Hopefully I don't get in trouble here. Let's go. So joining us today for episode 20 of the Back Lounge Podcast. Episode 20 already. It's crazy. Fellow roadie, lighting tech, lighting director, giant nerd, and all-around awesome dude, Andy Shaw. How are you, buddy?
Oh, hey, guys. Yeah, I'm good.
Nice. Dude, I'm so happy to do this because you're like the first person I've had on here that I actually like. We know each other well.
Right. Well, we've been on tour, you know.
Yeah.
We toured together for like 4 years.
Yeah.
Around there. Yeah.
So it's like normally with people on here, I have like kind of a little bit of rapport, but like having you on here is going to be great because we've been on tour. We have the stories. You've seen me at my best and worst moments pretty much.
Yeah, that's true.
But dude, you've been busy. You've been busier than me because I've been home with the kid, but like since we were last on the road together, which was 2020, March.
2020. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember where we were?
Couple times.
Do you remember where we were on our last show? I think I do.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
I lost like $1,000 like the night before playing baccarat with because we played roulette and I was up like 1,500 and then we went and played baccarat with like $500 hands and I lost it all in like 3 hands and I was done.
Dude, I avoided casinos when we were on tour because I know my personality and I know that like I'm that person. Yeah, I'm that person that goes down and I'm just like, oh, I got to make it back.
Right.
So while you guys all went to the casino, I would just sit in my hotel room and do nothing.
And also it was like the same week that Modern Warfare came out. Like not Modern Warfare, Warzone.
Oh. So, was it?
Because me and were playing Warzone in the hotel after we lost all that money.
Oh man. I can't remember what tour it was, but I remember we had 3 days off in Vegas for some reason. And it was when it was still drum teching for us.
Oh yeah. So it had been Dustin.
Yeah, and we were on tour together. I just can't remember what tour we were a part of. We sat in that hotel room without leaving for 3 days just playing Fortnite.
Oh yeah, because there was like one. It was like I feel like we were doing like a pseudo headline like in the winter. Because I think that was the same. Was that when we had out there?
I can't remember.
I don't know.
I can't remember. We had so much crew changeover on that tour over the years.
Oh god.
The only exceptions were like maybe four of us.
Oh, it's bad when the LBs like are numbered, as their nickname.
Okay, yeah. So for people that are listening, when I started with Dustin, the lighting directors, like their nicknames were all numbers because we just kept flying through lighting directors so much. So our friend that Shaw already mentioned, like his nickname on that whole tour was 4. And everybody was always like, why do you call him 4? And I was like, because he's been our 4th lighting director since I've been here. Like
and that became 5.
Yeah.
For like a hot minute there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. But yeah, I remember because like the only reason I thought maybe this was the case because he was still on with us, I believe, at the time. No, because no, that's not right.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's such a blur, dude.
I can't remember. I mean,
I was just thinking because I went to Mexico. Yeah, it was with this is when it was because it was like in the winter. So I went to Mexico with you guys, and I ended up staying in the room for like 4 or 5 days because I was like pooping my brains out with all the like. I drank the Mexican water and just like now I'm dead, you know. And I was like, I'll eat a sandwich and diarrhea everywhere. Like I just remember those loadouts, like doing the changeover and like sprinting to the bathroom when we're trying to load a truck.
I think I remember that. I remember a couple people on one year that we did. It
was like me and almost like shit his pants on stage.
I did remember that. So every year, for the listeners, we're getting heavy into some talk already. Every year there was a big country festival down in Cancun, and every year that we worked for Dustin, we'd go. And one year, like 5 people got sick, like stomach flu or bug or something from either the food or the water or whatever. And I do remember that. And then the funny thing is like you were there when it happened, but like literally you were there the day I became sober
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
that was when I turned into the hermit in my hotel room. Like I didn't do anything. I just stayed in the hotel.
Was I there for that one?
Were you not? Yeah, it was 2017. You
No,
would have been there. No?
no, I didn't go to 2017.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. That's yeah. I know the story. I don't know if you told the story.
Yeah,
before,
everybody
but
knows the story.
yeah, but yeah, I wasn't there for that one. Because that was just the year after he did it, you know.
Okay,
And then when they let go in 2018, they had me start doing it.
That's right. Dude, the crazy thing is like, so, you know, most people on my channel know, like I've talked about my sobriety and stuff, but me and you had some wild times like drinking out on the road. There's actually a picture I have saved on my phone after we did a Canadian run where we hit the border. And we were like shotgunning beers all dressed up in America shit when we hit the border. And the border patrol people are like, you guys have been gone for a while, huh?
It was pre-Omaha Shaw days too, so it was like right before I started doing all the Omaha Shaw stuff.
That picture might have led to Omaha Shaw, actually.
Yeah, probably a little bit.
Oh, dude, we got to tell this story because I've told viewers so many times like how just ridiculous the country music scene can get at times with like the rah-rah
and
America and all that stuff. So explain to everybody what Omaha Shaw is.
Oh God, you know, it's a way of living. No, I'm just kidding. It's like Hacksaw Jim Duggan meets Stone Cold Steve Austin, professional hype man, I guess.
Yeah.
Basically, and I don't know how much I can say about this, but we'll say it. Basically, at some point, our artist didn't feel like he could be as patriotic as some other country artists. And because most of the songs were made for teenage girls. And so I was like, he came to me and like a few of the other band members came to me and they're like, hey, what would you think about like getting on stage and waving the American flag around and all hillbilly dumb shit? You know, I'm like, okay. And part of it's because like they know like I'm very patriotic in some ways, but then also I have like a professional wrestler tendency of doing things. So they came to me and like, I think this is like a week before. This is on FGL. Like I know exactly why. I know exactly the show that they came up with this idea because it was an NRA show and Dustin basically got booed off the fucking stage.
Yeah, FGL is Florida Georgia Line for anybody that didn't know.
Yeah, so like we did a show for the NRA and they absolutely hated it.
Oh, dude.
And it was like so bad because we had Granger Smith coming out first, and he was like literally singing America.
We need to go back to this, by the way, when you finish the story.
So we got done, and then I go and get they basically get me all like jazzed up, and like overnight we're going into a truck stop, and I get off with my bus driver, and we find like the shittiest jean jacket that like doesn't fit me, and cut the fucking sleeves off of it, and I just like full on bare chest underneath and go out there and throw beers to the crowd and wave the American flag. And that's kind of where it all started.
For anybody that watches this on YouTube, because this audio is on Spotify and stuff, for people that are watching this on YouTube, I'm going to put pictures on screen so you can see this shit.
And then from there, it just kind of kept evolving. I did some vlogs. I did some things. I was posting my own stuff, had my own merch, blah, blah, blah. And like, the worst one is like I remember is there was the last show of the headline tour, and I was getting pretty good. I was being pretty pro about throwing beers to people at this point, and this poor girl, she's up on some shoulders, on this dude's shoulders.
I remember this.
And like literally last show of the year, and Dustin points her out and it's like, Shaw, throw that girl beer. And I'm like, okay. And I literally like slow fucking like 1, 2, 3, and I let it go. Pop fly, easiest catch you could ever fucking make in your world. And she just whoop right past her face or her hands right into her nose, and she just falls backwards.
I remember
and
that.
Everyone's just fucking laughing their asses off. And I felt so bad. Just like, oh my God, I just probably broke her poor nose. Like, you can't catch a pop fly like that, though. It's on you, you know?
Well, there were quite a few Omaha Shaw moments that I thought were hilarious, but like just for people to understand this more, I mean, this was a part of our show for like 2 years. There was a specific moment where all of us techs and everybody we knew, it was like Omaha Shaw's coming out, he's going to throw beers into the crowd and wave the American flag. And I remember at one point we had that really monster set with the bridge and the steps and the risers. Yep. And I remember you'd always climb up the back of that. There's a couple Omaha Shaw moments to me that were great. One was when we were in South Carolina and you connected with Hacksaw Jim Duggan and had him come out and do it.
That was awesome.
That was amazing. Like that was, and what a nice guy he is.
Yeah. Super like chill, like always willing to talk wrestling and like, honestly, like he like always calls like I owe my life to wrestling. Like I would never be where I'm at without it. And like, but like one of the most humble dudes like I've met in a long time.
He is one of we've met so many like what you would consider famous people or celebrities backstage. Mm-hmm. He's one of the nicest. He's just such a normal, super nice, down to earth guy. But the other Omaha Shaw moment that I remember that's one of my favorites ever is we were doing a festival that I believe was in Illinois somewhere. Like it was around like my home area. And there was like no joke. This guy had to have weighed like 350 pounds, like shirtless, big hillbilly dude. And his friends held him up like in a cheerleader thing. Like they were holding his feet up and you threw him a beer and you guys like shotgunned beers against each other in the middle of a show.
It's on my Instagram, I believe. So we'll have to like post that clip.
Yeah.
But that was in Davenport, Iowa.
Oh, it was Iowa. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Midwest.
And it's Quad Cities or whatever for the Mississippi County Fair or something. I don't know, whatever. But he shows up to every one of those events because like I've done those events so many times. He shows up every year and does that shit where he like takes his shirt off, yells at the artist to throw him a beer. And like, I can shotgun a beer faster than anybody in the, know, whatever hillbilly accent he comes up with. And it's like, it's crazy, man. He's built himself like his own little gimmick in the Quad Cities. Well, and I'm like, good for you, man.
I think it's amazing that every music scene has like its own kind of gimmick and we see it all over the place. Like, you know, with metal for somebody like me, I go to show like dudes are wearing battle jackets with patches and stuff everywhere. I got mine, but country is so funny to me because country fans, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but a lot of the guys that are at the shows have a very masculine personality about them. But some of these dudes will like show up wearing like cowboy boots and Daisy Dukes and no shirts with vests and cowboy hats. It's like there are music festivals in country and shows where it's like you recognize the same people because they have such that weird gimmick where they show up with like a certain outfit.
Oh yeah. Or it's like the weird part is like you either get like the guys like full on, I'm gonna be a cowboy boots, blue jeans, big old belt buckle, I'm a rodeo clown, whatever. And or you get the guy who's like wearing a golf polo, you know, like and khaki shorts. Like that's like kind of the vibes you get, either one or the other. Yeah. But what's interesting to me is so like you know, I've done a lot of rock shows as well, and I've actually seen more fights at country shows than I have at like rock and metal shows.
Same.
Like it's usually because some guy like, you know, touched another guy's girlfriend or something, but they get so drunk at these country shows that they were on the throw down, man.
Yeah, I've told people many times, like, obviously people like the music they're going to see in country, otherwise they wouldn't go. But I feel like people go to get drunk and fight more than they actually go to enjoy a concert. It's wild. It's
a reason to drink, you know?
Yeah.
Well, you know, like most of the songs are that though too. Like, you know, it's all about fucking, you know, drink a beer, you know, do some butt stuff, you know, whatever it is. But you know, it's like about drinking, driving trucks. So it's like, okay, so it's about drinking and driving, and you know, trying to hit on the girl. Yeah, that it's like the small town girl around the block. You know, it's like after a while, it gets really rough.
You know, I shit on country music a lot. I really do. Yeah. But the funny thing is, like, I would be lying if I owe a lot of my experience in my career to country music. I mean, I'd be lying if I said,
I like some Dustin songs. I like Brad Paisley, you know,
but like, there's just something about it not being involved in it full time now where I look back at it and I was like, that scene is just so wild. And the funny thing is, you know, you really realize, well, you've been working, but I haven't. My tour that I was supposed to do this year got canceled, but you really realize that as much as, you know, you tour with people and you got to live with them on a bus and you get to know them. When you get off the road, when you've made that announcement that you're off the road and you're not full time anymore, it's like a lot of people disappear because you really realize it is just a job like a lot of other things. And it's like, you find out, it's like, okay, which of these people am I actually friends with? And which of these people was I just around all the time because we were touring together? And for me personally, that answer was a lot of them.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like you,
honestly,
you and maybe,
COVID was a good indicator of that too.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, in terms of some of the old tours I've done, you know, in the last 5-6 years, it's like there's maybe 5 people that I still talk to regularly. You're one of them as well. And you know, we've talked on stream before where they've said there's always like one person on every crew that like everybody just doesn't like. And somebody's like, well, have you been on any tours where you were that person? And I was like, oh, probably. Like, I know my personality. Like, I get it. Like, when you tour, you're taking a lot of different personalities and throwing them in the same living space together on a, you know, a 40-foot tube on the road. Not everybody's going to like each other.
And I mean, there was time, like, to be fair, like there was times where, you know, you weren't ever like the worst person, but there was times where like we were super drunk and whatever. And it's like, fuck, here we go.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the same with him, my best friend and roommate, same way. Like there was times where I was like, I fucking hate this guy because he's, you know, but it's like I feel like we had a pretty solid crew towards the end of like, no one really hated each other. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how liberal we can be with all this stuff, but there was like a production manager it's all up
to you.
Yeah,
me personally, I have no problem, but you're still working.
I'm
still
in the industry. So. But most people hate this guy, so it's like I don't give a fuck. But
we don't need to name names, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, like we were, you know, he came in and it was like very disrespectful. So here's the deal: like we worked, we went on tour with Dustin, but we were opening for Brad Paisley, right? And the crew was like, man, we, you know, like as a crew, we were like all like, yeah, Brad Paisley's camp's really nice to us, whatever. But they kept like parking our bus like a fucking mile away. And we had bus trailers at the time and this, that, and the other. And come to find out, it's all because of our production manager who me and you went to management multiple times saying, this guy is not the right vibe for what we're doing. He's, you know, he's fucking up. He's doing whatever. And man, it took so long. And as soon as he was gone, it was like all of a sudden, like the gates of heaven opened up. Our bus was parked in the dock, and like it was like night and day. And it's like for our whole tour to hate him, and then also the whole Brad Paisley camp to hate him. And I know they hated him because I work for Brad Paisley's camp now, and like they tell me stories all the time about how much they hated him. It's like, man, it's such a like. I try to tell I had a kid that this last weekend who everyone despised. And I try to tell him, I was like, listen, man, it's all about vibe. Like, it's like 80% of what you do on the road is about your vibe and who you are and like being chill or whatever. And then like 10% of it is like how hard you work. And then the other 10% is the knowledge you have to do your job.
Yeah.
Like I'll take a hardworking, cool person with me out every time. If they don't know shit about lighting, I don't care. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. And I've said that as well. Like, you know, yeah, you're working all day and you got to know what you're doing. But again, it goes back to that. You're on tour with a bunch of other people and you're living in a bus. You have to be a good vibe and respect other people. Otherwise, it is not going to be a fun tour. And, you know, everything you just said goes to something really important too, which is everybody that works for an artist represents their artist. So like, let's say me, I make a bad impression on somebody. They might not necessarily know my name or know me or anything like that, but they'll remember that guy's guitar tech was a fucking dick. And then that's going to reflect on them too. And I see it, dude. One of my YouTube videos I did a while back, about buy-ons. I got a comment last night from somebody who was like, yeah, we bought onto a show opening for Non-Point once, and their crew were the biggest fucking dicks. They treated us like shit, blah, blah, blah. And for me to read that, it's like, he didn't remember any of the crew people's names. It was just Non-Point's crew. And that's a good example of what you're saying is like, especially 100%. Somebody in a position like a production manager or a tour manager, that's the head of your tour. Like the tour manager is the head of the tour, but the production manager is the head of the crew basically. And dude, if people don't like him or her, the rest of that crew is going to feel it. And we did, man. We absolutely did. So it
like, you're not going to dump your truck till 4, you know, like kind of shit.
You're not going to sound check till doors, but that wasn't really because of us.
Yeah, actually it was.
Really?
Like, honestly, yeah. Like I work, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sure we talked about this before, but I work for Paisley right now.
Yeah.
And there's many times where it was used to be like us. He would come in and be like, no, I'm sound checking at 5 p.m. and I don't give a fuck. You know, like, and it's like, I don't care about the openers, whatever. They can deal with it. Doors are at 5:45 for VIPs. Oh, it's 5:42. I guess I'll get them the stage now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how it was. I'm out there right now with him. None of that shit happens.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Literally, it was because of our production manager.
Wow, dude. I remember.
I was told that basically, from what I understand with the camp, and the production manager were like, you know, like, nope, like, and all them are like, no, this ain't happening like that. So they, because what happened, I don't know if I'll tell it, but whatever. Basically, he walked into the production office.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm already going to be beeping out a lot of these names just because, so you can say whatever you want.
So he walked in. Our production manager walked into the production into Brad Paisley's production office, and first time ever meeting any of these people, and he goes in and drops like a derogatory term, you know, and somebody got offended by it, and when it was like, hey, if you know, we have a swear jar out here, and it's old school, man. He's like fucking, you know, he's old school. He's like fucking 60 or 70 something, and you know, whatever. But he's old school. He's like, you have to pay the swear jar, and he said, "Fuck you! I'm not paying no fucking money to no swear jar. Why would I do that? I'm not a part of your camp." And from that day on, we were fucked.
I remember, and that wasn't even when tour started. That was a production rehearsal.
Yeah,
I remember hearing this story. Yeah.
And I heard the story over and over again when I came back to working for Paisley.
Damn, dude. That's it makes you really wonder, like on other tours too. It's like, what else has happened that we don't know about? And not just us, it's like anybody. It's like, because even before situations like this where me and you were on the road, I've faced this on other tours. I've faced this on rock tours where somebody in our camp did something to piss off the headliners, and then we feel that retaliation for the rest of the tour. Like, this shit happens, dude.
Yeah,
we're just like a bunch of fucking children out there.
We like, I heard stories. It wasn't us, but we heard stories when we were on Maiden that was happening with the band before us, where it was like, I was with the Temptation this year. I forgot to mention that, but I was with the Temptation opening for Iron Maiden this year, and they told me the opener or two openers before that, they didn't like them. Like, they pissed off the stage manager, and the stage manager wouldn't give them the stage or wouldn't let them dump their truck until 4. They had to be on stage by 5, and it was like, you know, they were strict on them. Yeah. Whereas us, they were like, "Hey, welcome in, guys."
So what you know, and it's kind of a fine line. It's kind of a fine line between, are they dicks for doing that, or are they within their rights? Because when you join somebody else's tour, you're a guest. There are rules that you need to abide by. You need to do your job. You need to be on time. And if you walk into somebody else's tour making demands or acting like you're hot shit and stuff like that, they're going to let you know you're not. And it's like, I don't know, man, in situations like that, it's like, I almost don't have a problem with it. It's a very old school mentality of like, okay, if you guys are going to come onto our tour and act like idiots, then we're going to treat you like idiots.
One of my favorite people now, but the first like 3 weeks of FGL, remember, it was like we hated that tour the first like 2 to 3 weeks of FGL.
I remember.
And then now, like, and most of us because the stage manager was riding us hard on there.
Yeah.
But we showed him we could do what we can, and worked hard and all that. And now he's like one of my best friends.
I love that guy. Yeah.
I always say best friends, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I could call him in a pinch and be like, hey man, I need a stage manager. And he'd be there like immediately.
Yeah. And if you see him on a festival or something, you give him a hug. Yeah. For sure. Dude, it's same. I love that guy. Like, he's awesome. So, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I've had moments like that on tours where I've started off really not getting along with somebody or liking somebody, but by the end of it, it's like, okay, we fucking work it out and figure it out and everything's cool.
I try to tell like a lot of the rookies that like they're gonna test your metal a little bit for the first week or two, and then after that we're gonna be good. I had the same problem. I had a problem with Then Temptation a little bit because they all thought like the Iron Maiden team hated them. They're like, we're not getting off stage fast enough. We're not doing this. Even though the stage manager's telling me like, you guys got plenty of time, just chill. It's all good. So like, I'm hearing all that on stage during the changeover, but they're not hearing any of that.
Yeah.
And so they overthought it and they went to management, and then they pissed off everybody because they went to management, when it's like, we could have just gone straight to the source and said, hey, are we okay? Are we good?
And that's an interesting thing to bring up too, is that a band's crew people are like their boots on the ground. Like, there are some things that a band doesn't need to be bothered with, and that's why they have crew. But there have been situations like that where it's like, even on tours, that we've done together, where I'm like, God, if they just would have come to us and asked us, because we see everything that's going on, we could have saved a lot of hassle.
A lot of headaches there.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. Dude. Yeah. It's like that kind of stuff always kills me. I'm like, just if you just ask me, I'll go handle it for you. Did
you ever have a tour when you were starting out where you felt maybe you were that person? Where did you ever have a tour that was like the tour that like really whipped you into shape and you learned the most and been like, oh, this is how I have to be if I want to do this?
I had 2 tours where I was told I'm on the chopping block to get fired. Like, most of it was like ex-girlfriend drama, basically, like, like, getting the phone call every 2 hours of like, well, you're cheating on me. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm busting my ass to work.
We're working 16 hours a day.
Yeah. Like, okay. One of them was OAR, of a revolution, if you don't know what that stands for. I was on OAR, and it was like my first like time having like a real serious girlfriend while I was on the road, and she was batshit crazy, and so that didn't help either. Like, she had a lot of trauma and things like that. And anyways, so I'm on the road, and then I hung like an upstage truss off center by like 1.5 feet, 3 feet almost, fucking stupid amount.
Yeah.
And that was like a day that my dimmer tech crew chief came to me and was like, if you don't shape up, dude, like, they're gonna fire you. Like, your work has not been your best this year. And I'm like, what do I gotta do? And they're like, you gotta get off your phone, you gotta start focusing. I'm like, all right. I was like, can you give me one more day? Like, just give me one more day to like fix my mistakes, and I will be the best tech you have all the rest of the year. And was I the best tech the rest of the year? Kinda. Like, I was still fucking up a little bit here and there, but it was not like major things. It was like, I would do what I need to do to make it work. There was that one, and then the same girlfriend, same year, I got off of OER, like had a month off, and like in the shop basically, and then hopped on Mannheim Steamroller. And Mannheim Steamroller, like, everyone gets confused with TSO. It's not TSO, but it's like, it's a brutal schedule. It's like you're doing 12 shows in a week. Yeah. Like matinees, load in, load outs, all that. And then of course, like the first half is lullabies, so you fall asleep during the show.
Yeah.
And my LD at the time time coded it all to and so like we just played Battleship half the time over comm because he had no spotlight calls either.
Yeah.
So anyways, we get all this going, but same problem. I had this girlfriend who was just calling me every 5 minutes saying like, if you don't come home right now, I'm gonna, blow my brains out and this, that stuff. Like, that level of like, she's not gonna really do that, but you're like, you're scared, because when people say that shit, you're like, you have to take it seriously. And I flew her out to a show and she saw how hard I was working. Like, oh, you're up at 6 a.m. and you literally work until 2 a.m. Great. Like, and that's when she was like, you don't have time to cheat on people. I'm like, no, like I don't have time to do any of that. And who wants to sleep with a dirty like a roadie who just got done with loadout at fucking 2:00 in the morning?
Dude, we've been on the bus with each other without hitting a shower or something. We know how fucking gross we are.
Yeah. I'm like, and it's just like, that's just not me. Same thing for you. That's just not you. But like at the same time, it's like, oh no, like I'm not like like I think how I've been doing this, it's 2022 right now, almost 12 years I've been touring. Like I think I maybe like slept with one girl on the bus.
Yeah,
maybe, like, yeah, and that's the girl that ended up being a girlfriend.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's funny that the stereotype for us as roadies is that like, we are out just partying and hooking up and stuff like. And don't get me wrong, there are certain tours where that is definitely available and can happen. Mm-hmm. But like in my career as a roadie, I've like, and I would say I know this is going to sound terrible coming out of my mouth, but like as roadies, we are in perfect positions where if we wanted to get away with cheating, we probably could. We're in different cities all the time. Fucking nobody knows who we are. Like, but the ironic thing about it is that you know me, and I've been married since we've known each other too. And I'm an extremely faithful person and loyal person. And I've been cheated on by like 2 or 3 girlfriends before I met my wife. And and it's always funny because the logic of that is like, well, you're always gone. I'm like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
that's like, I try to explain to that girlfriend and my ex and all that stuff, but it's like one of those things where it's like, it's actually easier for you to cheat.
Yeah.
Like, it's like so much easier because like I'm working until, I'm working from morning. So I'm working 8 a.m. to, 2 or 3. And then I have like a 3 to 6 before, like gap to, I can do whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
But then after 6 p.m., it's like, okay, well, now I have to talk to spotlights. I have to talk to show mode and like get ready and all that. And then now I'm in the show. And like, I don't have time to go out to the crowd and be like, hey, do you like this song? You want to hang out? Like, I don't. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm done. Now I have a choice. I'm like covered in like black fucking pyro truss shit. And do I take a shower or do I try to go out to the, crowd for another 10 minutes? Hopefully some girl stayed around and hit on her and get her on the bus. That ain't gonna work.
Oh, dude.
So
even when I was single, I had way more interest in getting a good, clean shower and eating pizza on the bus than going
getting
a
shower.
Hassle. Yeah,
putting on like your basically your pajama clothes or whatever you want to call it. Like, dude, it's a day changer. It's like you can't end your day until you do that kind of thing.
No, and you have and you like on the road you have a routine. And anything you decide to do that deviates from that routine kind of fucks up. So like for me, it's like, end of the show. It's like, before I got sober, it was like, okay, end of the show. Fucking the second the trailer's loaded, grab a beer, go inside to shower, go back, get your comfy clothes on, go back to the bus, get whatever's there for after show, and then watch whatever shitty programming is on MTV, usually ridiculousness or some shit, and just hang out with your dudes on the bus. What?
Yeah. Or Impractical Jokers.
Yeah, that was a big one on our bus.
It's like Ridiculousness or Impractical Jokers are on at any point in the day, so you just throw those on the strolls.
But it's like any deviation from that routine is almost an inconvenience. It's like
100%.
Dude, I love having guests at shows when we're traveling because I get to see people I don't get to see often. But there are some times where it's like after they've been there all day, I'm like, God, I really wish I could just fucking leave them and fucking go to sleep right now. That doesn't...
I do the thing where it's like, nowadays I'm like, I don't get backstage passes for them.
Yeah.
And like, I just go out to the crowd and say hi, like hang out for 2 songs. I actually get so when I get comp tickets, I get 2 comps.
Yeah.
Right. And I get a third, and that's the seat for me. Like,
oh, nice. That's smart.
Yeah. So that's how I've been working it lately.
That's smart.
So that way I can go out there, hang out for a few songs during like the headlines or whatever, and then bail. It's just, I mean, to your point of like, for me, like as a lighting guy, I'm usually the last person out the door.
Yep.
You know, like I'm the last person to get showered and all that. So for me, like I have a half-hour window before the bus rolls half the time. So it's like I either can take a shower or, that's it. And like to your point of like, you've been cheated on while you've been gone. It's like, it's so much easier for somebody at home to go to a bar and get picked up because you have unlimited time, I have limited time.
That's actually, I've never thought about it that way. That actually is a good point. Cause it's like you just said, that half-hour window you have, if you do anything else that's not your normal schedule, you're losing out on your shower or your whatever,
or just like hanging out on the bus with and getting after show food when it's still half not frozen,
Yeah. I remember one of the most I've ever been pissed off in my life on tour is when we did, I think it was 2019. We did a show at the United Center. It's on the Thomas Rhett tour. And our tour manager at the time was like, hey, you're from here. What should we get for after show food? And I was like, Portillo's, get some Italian beefs, get some hot dogs. And I had friends there that day. So, or my stepmom was there too. I don't think my dad made it. I think my dad was out of town, but I remember after the show got done and we loaded out, I went out to say hi to people. And by the time I got back to the bus, motherfuckers had eaten all the Italian beefs that I was looking forward to all day.
Well, my bad, dude. My bad.
No, it wasn't you. I know exactly who it was because when we get food, most people are very respectful about the food situation. They'll be like, hey, has everybody eaten? Who hasn't eaten? There's usually something for everybody. I'll just beep the name out. Fucking, what was it? Was that his name?
Oh yeah. Fucking
that motherfucker ate 3 Italian beef sandwiches when everybody had one that was allotted to them. And I remember, I think it was me and that didn't get one. And we were like, God damn, this is literally what we were looking forward to all fucking day. And this motherfucker ate all of them.
Can we tell the story? You were there for that with Ben the cheeseburger thief. Do you remember that story?
I think I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure.
We were on Thomas Rhett, and I think we were in Canada. Yeah, we were in what's it called?
Regina.
Yes, I was like,
were we really? I just wanted to say Regina.
No, we were literally in Regina, and our drum tech.
Go.
Do you know the story?
Yeah,
you want to tell it?
No. Go ahead.
Okay, so we're. So like as we're talking like, oh yeah, roadies are like more sophisticated nowadays. We don't bring women on the bus, blah blah blah. Yeah. So our friend, our drum tech, brings on 2 women on our bus, and it's like, okay, we know what's going to happen. He's trying to hit up one, and we kind of need to take care of the other kind of thing, right? So it's like, okay. So me and aka the cheeseburger warlord, we were hanging out and like, okay, here we go. And he drops off like the friend with us because we're both like married basically. Time I was engaged, but we were both married basically. And he was like, she's safe with these guys. I'm going to take this other girl to the back lounge. And nothing happened back there because he sucks. You know?
Dude,
I think they kissed.
I want to bring this up though. Dude, I have seen more roadie failures, more roadie hookup failures on the road than I've ever heard of successes. All these
100%.
fucking dudes think they could just get a girl to the bus. Dude, I've seen more fucking people strike out than actually have a success story of hooking up on the road.
Yeah. So, like, this girl, I guess, is like feeling like she was like, all right, I'm a little too drunk for this or whatever it was.
Oh, she was hammered. I remember.
Yeah, she was ham-ward, you know? Like, she was like, you level back when you were drinking. And like, I was like, this is not going to go well. But so she comes back, and at the time we got Whataburger. Like for some random fucking reason, Regina had a fucking Whataburger, and I had like a cheeseburger in hand.
Yeah.
Like in hand. And she's like, oh my God, you guys got Whataburger? There's not a Whataburger in Regina. Blah, 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 blah. And she literally snatches that fucking hamburger style, snatches that fucking burger out of his hands, and takes a bite out of it. And this is like, he wasn't trying to hit up, like, it was me and like, as the married guys, like taking, like covering the grenade of the friend.
Yeah.
And this girl who our drum tech was hitting on just grabs this fucking burger and just starts eating it. And he's like, what the fuck? Did you
and is way too nice. Is such a nice, is our old monitor engineer, such a nice, friendly guy. It's like, he's not going to make a big deal about it, but everybody else was like, yo,
we made a big deal about
what the fuck? Yeah.
And she was like, blah, blah, blah. And like, okay, we're all like, just take a deep breath. We're trying to help our boy, it's all good. And you could tell the friend was like starting to get like that, like, spine chill, like a cat, like, like, oh no, these fucking dudes, there's like 8 dudes on here that are gonna fuck me up, because this my fucking friend stealing burgers. And all of a sudden she's like starting to ask for condiments, like, does anyone got like ketchup? And our videographer fucking
I remember
this. I was mad at his soul.
I was mad at him over this. I thought this was a little too far, but looking back on it now, it was funny.
It's funny, but it's like, this is where it's like, we get the bad reputation for the artist.
Yeah.
Because it's always going to be like, well, his drum tech, his drum tech, like, brought me on the bus and these guys fucking da-da-da-da. Anyways, so he grabs the fucking slices of tomato. He's like, we don't have ketchup, but we got tomato. And she's like, well, throw one at me or some shit. I don't know. She's drunk. Yeah. And all of a sudden he just starts frisbee whipping this shit like straight at her. Like I'm like dodging this shit like I took a damn landmines thrown at me or some grenades. And she's just getting splattered with fucking tomatoes like it's a fucking old theater. And I'm like, wait. He's like, yeah, you want some ketchup or you want some mustard too? And like starts throwing other shit at her. And I'm like, and then her friend's like, we gotta go. Yeah. We gotta go. My boyfriend's looking for me. I gotta go. And
I remember that. I remember one of them being like, my boyfriend's looking for me. I was like, what the fuck are you doing up here?
Yeah, why you on this fucking tour bus, bro? Yeah. So, our drum tech hit her up like a couple days later, and in his phone it says Hamburger. But he hit her up a couple days later because we had a day off there, and she's like, I had no idea that happened. Like, I had no recollection of that happening.
Yeah.
And I guess like she's a very nice person, but like when she was drunk, man, she was just gone.
I mean, listen, alcohol does crazy things to people. You know this. Yes. I mean, we can tell that. Okay, I'm open about my sobriety now, but when I was drinking, I was a fucking animal. And you know this probably better than my wife does because you saw me drink more than she did. Dude, what became our thing when I was drunk? Hey, let's fuck up Tank with a bunch of bananas.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I woke up one time. I went to sleep in my bunk, and I remember waking up one time
I felt bad about this one afterwards, by the way.
I woke up in the middle of the night, like 4 a.m., probably still kind of drunk, disoriented, and I roll over in my bunk and I feel something, and I was like, what the fuck? And I'm like moving around, and I keep feeling the squishing, and I was like, what in the fuck is going on? And I turn on the light in my bunk, and there's like 30 bananas, unpeeled bananas, just all over my bunk. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like,
and the band dude sent you like a black and white photo of them being like, yeah, we fucking did this, bitch.
Yeah. There was a minute on the road where bananas were the thing. It was such a dumb inside joke. Like, I remember one time,
and you didn't even start it. That's the crazy part.
Who did? Oh, banana phone.
Started banana phoning people.
Yeah.
Ring, banana phone, and smacking them with a banana.
That's right.
And when he was like, obscenely drunk, and then it like became your thing because like it annoyed the fuck out of you when people were like doing banana things to you.
I remember before we got a second guitar tech. Who was that? Yeah. I forgot because I was there for a minute before I joined with us, and I was still teching everybody. I remember one time before a bus call brought me a box of strings because he's like, "Hey, I want to try these strings out." But he fucking duct taped like a banana to the top of the box and left it on the bus for us, and I was like, okay. Like there was a good month where everything had to do with bananas for some reason, and I remember just getting so annoyed by everything. And then I can't remember who did it. It was probably, but somebody kept connecting to the stereo in the front lounge and playing Banana Phone by Raffi all the time.
Yeah.
My God, dude.
The worst one was probably again, like, you got in trouble pretty bad because, and like, I feel like it was unjust that you got in trouble, but whatever. Basically our videographer, he was very young at the time, threw a bunch of bananas at you and then took off running, and you like grabbed a banana.
I remember this.
Like I said, you're pretty drunk, and
no, that's the thing. That's the thing. I wasn't. I remember this story. I wasn't even that drunk yet. I was.
Well, they thought you were. Whatever,
oh no, I wasn't.
But I mean, like but like, you get on the artist. He runs onto the artist bus, knowing like you can't do shit there, but you did.
Yeah.
And you threw a banana at him, and like, I guess, the artist had guests and all that shit, and it was like they were like pissed off.
I will never
fuck off the bus.
I will never forget, because that was like the only time that working for Dustin that he looked at me, and I with a like serious, like, it was the only time he's ever seriously looked at me. And I remember I got on the bus and I whipped a banana as hard as I could at dude running down the bus, and he turns in his chair and he looks at me dead in the eyes and goes, "Get off my bus now." And I'm like, okay, bye. Like, yeah, that was one of the only times that I actually felt like, woo.
I felt, like, was that my first year or the year after that?
I can't remember. I think that was a Luke Bryan tour.
Yeah, so it'd been my first year.
Yeah. I mean,
there was so much of that kind of stuff going on. And then like, I was speaking of Luke Bryan, one of the nicest fucking dudes out there too. Like, I gotta give Luke Bryan credit on that.
Oh, his crew is great, dude. Like, his entire team. I don't think to this day, me personally, I've ever been treated as well on a tour as I was on a Luke Bryan tour. I
know a lot of people hate him, but like, I have a lot of respect for him, because like, my first day on the tour, which was like 6 months into you guys' tour, he came up to me like and personally introduced himself. He's like, "Hey, I heard you're the new guy. Welcome to the tour. If you need anything, let me know." And like, shook my hand. I was like, fucking Christ, it's Luke Bryan. Give me a fucking handshake.
Yeah.
And then there's like a night at 30 when he has like a little party tent called 32 Bridge. And at 32 Bridge at one night, he was like, "Shaw, get over here."
Yeah,
like,
dude.
How the fuck do you remember me?
Yeah, like, when we're on tour, we kind of focus on our jobs and not what the other artists are doing and stuff. And there's been many times where like I was in my Guitar World working on guitars during the day, and he would just walk up and stand and watch what's going on and talk to me and stuff like that. And that's like, we didn't even work for him. And he made it a point to know who everybody on the tour was, which you don't see much. Like, it's a very, very cool thing.
That's what I was just saying. I was just like, super nice guy. Like, I'm not always the biggest fan of his music, but I'm a fan of the person. Yeah,
and I will say, out of all those tours that we did together, I think those were my favorite, like, funnest times. Like, it was just
fun.
Such a good vibe. I remember when we do like walkaways or some shit, it's like every crew would hang out together at night, and like we'd all sit on the docks and just fucking drink and smoke and hang out, and like, those are good times. Those are the times on the road that you don't forget, that are just like, just super fun. And then, you get on
venues like Guilford, where it's like,
yeah. And then you get on other tours. That's the thing that sucks, is like, you finish a tour like that where the vibe is just so fucking family oriented and fun and everybody gets along. And then you get on another tour still in that frame of mind, and that tour is nothing like that.
Yeah.
Like,
basically what happened. That's what happened to us, really.
Yeah.
We went for Luke Bryan, and then it was like, oh, this tour hates us.
Yeah.
Cool. This is fun.
Yeah. But like you said, dude, it just takes that one person on your crew to fucking ruin it for everybody. Because I remember once we changed our crew, we got new people. It was a light switch change, dude. They were so nice to us.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of those people I still talk to this day. Like,
yeah.
Those are just, we could probably sit here for hours and just talk touring stories.
100%.
Because we've got people that were on our crew that I like, that we haven't even brought up that were like hilarious moments, but we won't. We're not, I mean, already I've never once I've had to edit a podcast due to a joke that people would have taken wrong. I'm probably going to have to beep out a lot of names in this just because.
We talk about our drum tech who we were like, he had like an underwear sponsorship or something, but he always wore like the holiest underwear. And just one day he just walks out of like bunk alley in his underwear and his like ball is just like,
I remember
out.
that. Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you gotta get some new underwear. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, it's like shit like that. Like that's the stuff I love touring about because it's like
the dumb funny moments.
Yeah, just like the little moments like that where it's like this is good. You know,
I have so many videos on my phone that I will never share just because it's not stuff that should be public, but it's like memories from the road that are just hilarious and people doing dumb things and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, just some of the funniest memories I have and funnest moments have been on tour or just in the middle of nowhere doing dumb things with people and
or getting you with the fucking hot one or the Buffalo Wild Wings.
God, dude. So I'll tell this one because I want to I'll give you from my frame of mind. So we used Buffalo Wild Wings was a very popular after food choice on tour because they're everywhere. I don't know if they have those in Europe, and we have a lot of European listeners. So for anybody that's not familiar with Buffalo Wild Wings, it's basically a chicken place. They have wings and boneless wings and wraps and stuff. And they always used to get us boneless wings. A lot of different flavors. We'd get like regular Parmesan garlic, honey barbecue, but they'd always get one tub of hot ones, like the really hot ones.
Yeah, it's they're like blazing sauce or whatever the fuck it's called. But yeah, basically the hottest of the pep sauces that you can get.
And I can't handle that stuff. I don't really like really hot stuff. And I remember this was definitely when I was still drinking because I remember being hammered for this.
Yes.
I'm pounding chicken, just eating all this, the regular or the honey barbecue or something. Do you remember why I got off the bus? I remember leaving the bus.
I don't remember why you got off the bus, but that's exactly the time that was like, Shaw, should I do this? And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
So I leave I'm drunk, I'm pounding chicken. I leave the bus for some reason. And I come back to the bus and I resume exactly what I was doing. I was just drunk and hungry, so I start eating the chicken again. I fucking smash like a couple boneless wings into my mouth. And after a few seconds, my whole mouth started hurting. And I realized that these guys swapped out the normal wings that I was eating with the blazing hot ones. And I remember for quite a while after that, I was like sitting in the front lounge, like profusely drooling and just panting and just in pain. And like, I think somebody
threw up, I think too.
It was like, those are the dumb moments that probably to other people sound really stupid, but to us on the road, like it's just funny, entertaining moments.
It's like, or like, sounds really mean. Like, why would you do that? Like, you could have killed him. But no, stop.
Yeah.
You know,
it does sound mean.
It does sound mean now. Like, I mean, we're like, let's fucking do it. Let's get him.
Yeah. I feel like a lot changed, at least pranks on me, like after I got sober. Cause like,
one of the pranks we did on you when I think it was when you were still drinking. It's like, unfortunately, like, other people got in on it, but like, I mean, we all know that you have a tendency to tell a lot of stories. Yeah. So like, there'd be times where like you'd be like, Shaw, you gotta listen to this, and you tell the story, and then you do it again, and you'd be like, hey, you gotta listen to this, and then we all hear the story again. And like every time somebody came on the bus, you would do it. So we all got clickers, and we were starting to count how many times you would tell us the same story.
I don't even know about this.
Yeah, so like there was a time where like I got everyone clickers, and we'd all click how many times we heard the same story from you in any given day or weekend. And there was like a time where I had like 5 or 6 like up.
That's, you know what? That's been actually the cool thing about YouTube now is now I can just do a video and put it up and everybody can hear the story.
Everyone hears it.
And I don't need to go around. I don't need to go around and tell a million people the same thing anymore. But dude, I know my personality. Like,
right.
I'm there's nothing anybody could tell me about myself that I would be surprised by. They're like, people are like, I've had comments on YouTube where people are like, you talk a lot. I'm like, yeah, no shit. Or like,
it's not my job now. You know?
Yeah. But dude, the last thing touring story wise that I'll hit on before we start talking about more like YouTube and Twitch stuff, because you're at it too.
Mm-hmm.
There was
another one as well.
Okay, well, let's do that too. There was a good 6 months where I was terrified to actually take a shower after a show. Do you remember why?
Oh, yeah.
Ice buckets, bro.
Ice bucket.
Oh my God.
It was always you too. It was always on you.
It was always me.
They didn't come after me.
That's because the reaction that they got from me was probably worse than everybody else. So there was a good 6 months where I was terrified to shower after shows because one of the band members, and they fucking know, band members fucking know that if they fuck with the crew, we're not going to do anything to retaliate because they're the band members. So I'd be showering and just like at a venue. And if you didn't lock the door, even if you did lock the door, somebody would pick it. But I'd be showering.
These are like locker room showers, though. Like there is no door.
Yeah, but the one that I'm specifically thinking of was definitely like it was a bathroom with a locked door. Yeah. I'm just enjoying a nice hot shower, and then all of a sudden, fucking ice bucket just dumped on my head.
I remember because the drummer picked the lock with one of his.
Yeah, I remember doing it. yeah, dude. But that terrified me. There was a solid half a year where I was like, dude, while I'm taking a shower every 2 seconds, I'm peeking out the curtain and I'm like listening. And there were days where I heard like the lock getting picked, and I'd fucking, before they got there, I'd rip open the curtain and try and pull them into the shower or something. But yeah, showering was an adventure for a while.
I never used like softball pitch to my side at some point.
I can't remember.
Or something like that. Like everyone got very scared that you were like chucking ice because they're like, oh yeah, he used to be a fucking baseball player, you know?
Yeah.
And like they got a little fucking freaked out for a minute. They're like, okay, maybe we shouldn't do this anymore. I also remember like my like second week with Dustin. I was in like one of the locker rooms and like taking a shower, and actually like was in there. Like we were like, you know, it's like, all right, we're all bros. Whatever.
Yeah, none of us care. That's what really quick. That's what I always found weird when people get weird about locker room showers. I'm like, dude, what do you think sports teams do? If you got a shower, go in there and shower. Nobody gives a shit. We're all grown men. You know, nobody cares.
Do I enjoy my privacy when I'm showering? Of course.
Yeah.
But if I it's like, hey, either take a shower with, you know, your roadie brothers, or don't shower at all, I'll definitely take a shower.
Yeah, for sure.
You can face a wall, whatever. Who cares? You know, they see your ass, you see your ass. But I remember me showering, and all of a sudden, like some like random girl like just comes busting into the locker room like, what's going on in here, boys? And it's like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, okay, you're all showering. I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
So like that was like the only time where I felt like I feel a little violated here, a little invasion of privacy, like too much.
And it wasn't. I remember hearing about this, and it wasn't like somebody that was on the tour. It was like a random drunk girl backstage.
Random drunk girl that they brought back, and it was like, I was like, I'm not going to tell the wife about this one. You know? Like there are some stories I just kind of like, I'm just going to leave off.
Yeah. I mean,
you know, because if I say drunk girl in shower, she'll probably like, that's the only word she'll hear out of the whole story.
Yeah. I mean, I've joked with Claire many times, like, you know, the shower situation on tour of like, I've probably seen more dicks in my life than my wife has, just because showering probably on tour, and like, I don't give a shit.
The other story I was gonna bring up is my boy Baba. Oh, Serge, I'm wearing the shirt for him. You know?
I really quick, I have told some viewers about Serge.
Oh, I love the guy.
Serge was our crew bus driver on Dustin Lynch. The best bus driver, one of the greatest people ever. He's the one that he was born in like Eastern Canada, so he speaks like French Canadian, but he then moved to Boston when he was a kid, so he has this weird French Canadian Boston accent.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
The greatest guy.
One of the best. There's two pranks that are like 2 or 3 pranks that I did with him. One was the Memorial Lounge. We'll have to bleep that. But like, one of our management got really fucked up and had to sleep in the back lounge. And the next morning, he looked so fucking rough.
He was so mad.
he was so mad because all night long he was trying to tell all the crew that they had to give up their bunk for him.
Yeah.
And his boss basically said, fuck that. He sleeps in the back lounge.
Yeah.
And he like, there's like, what do you call it? Like just like wood veneer or something.
Yeah, it's like the frame. I remember this, the frame around the entertainment system.
Yeah, the frame around the entertainment center, the trim. He like knocked that shit off. He was like fucking pissed.
I could just imagine him like, so the next morning when we saw that, when the frame was ripped off the wall and stuff, I've just got this picture of like 4 a.m. going down the fucking road in the middle of the night and he's back there just fucking raging. Like, I'd like to imagine him just like hardcore dancing and kicking and punching shit.
Think like a 5'4" Guy Fieri without the coolness factor. That's what this guy looked like. And he, yeah, dude, it was just so bad. So anyways, I made a plaque and it made it look like he was dead. That said, you know, the manager Memorial Lounge S 2016. And like we hung that plaque up in the fucking back lounge of that bus. And I think it's still in there. Like, I think Pioneer left it.
In that crew bus?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I'm like, oh my God, it's so bad. But the other one was Surge one day came on the bus and he was like, yo, Shaw, these women out here are going to need some surge protectors. And if you know what I'm saying. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Dude. And so for Christmas that year, I made him custom made condoms that say surge protectors. And it says, no more baby nana, because that was one of the phrases he popped up all the time. Until we
just moved, I had one of those surge protector condoms stuck to like the mirror.
I have a picture
in our bathroom.
Yeah, I have that picture in my phone because that's when I reference this. I always pull up that picture because you sent a picture of
dude. Oh my God, fucking Surge.
And he was so excited. But I also met Surge's mom a few times, and she was out at a Brad Paisley show.
Oh, what a lady.
With Leroy.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know his name was Lee Space Roy up until like last year.
Oh, really?
You know? Yeah. I thought his first name was Leroy, but no, it's
Leroy. Leroy is another bus driver. Surge's cousin?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
So Mama Surge was out there with us. Mama.
Yeah.
And she was like, you're the one that got my boy all his custom condoms, huh? I was like, yes, ma'am. She's like, well, where are they? And I'm like, hold on. And I carry like 2 or 3 of them in my bag just in case. And so I give one to her, and I was so bad. I took a picture with her holding the condom.
Oh my God.
And I was like, you know what I'm doing with your mom later, Serge?
Oh, come on.
He's like, don't you be doing nothing to my mom.
Oh, that probably would have I could only imagine him raging over that. Cause like Surge, when he got frustrated, was so funny, but like not in a bad way. Like Surge is like the nicest, friendliest fucking dude ever. And the dude's a monster. Like
he's a big guy.
What, he's like 6'2", probably just built like a brick shit house. Like,
and like probably close to 300-ish pounds.
Yeah, he's a big boy. Dude, it's funny you're bringing up the surge protectors. I got this in the Electric Callboy guys sent me something, and they have Electric Callboy condoms now. And that made me think of the surge protectors. Speaking of Electric Callboy, somebody brought you up on stream the other day, because yesterday when I was streaming, I said my next podcast episode was going to be with Hobby Time, Shaw. And somebody was like, isn't that your friend that introduced you to Electric Callboy? And I was like, it was, because you are first of all, let's really dive into this, because I've told some people, but you're pretty much the reason I'm doing this right now. Because when the pandemic happened and stuff, we started talking about just doing stuff from home, and you're like, why don't you just try and stream? And I hadn't even thought of it. And I was like, okay, so, but when I first started the YouTube channel, it was like the second or third video, you were like, dude, you got to check out this band they were Eskimo Callboy at the time.
Right.
You got to check this band out. And you didn't really tell me anything about them. And I remember starting that video in the reaction.
I know it was like, to me, it was like, this is like not a trolley video, but I knew it was like, okay, it starts off kind of like you're thinking it's going to be a boy band.
Yeah.
And also that drop hits. And I was like, I knew the band was doing reaction videos to reaction videos.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, you just started. You should try to get, do this video, because maybe you got a shot at it.
Yeah.
And because I think you were like, at the time you were streaming Destiny for like a minute there.
Dude, yeah.
And then that wasn't going very well. And then you switched to YouTube and started doing the music thing. And that's when I was like, okay, if you're gonna do that, like, let me throw this video at you. And then all of a sudden you like blew up.
Yeah. The problem was, well, not really a problem. I was like a couple months late to that one. Cause like a lot of reactors on YouTube, they go right when a video comes out. Like, I don't really necessarily do that. Like, I kind of have like a schedule, but I was late on that one. But it wasn't until they did like, I finally made it into one of their reaction videos when it like We Got the Moves or Pump It or something came out. But the crazy thing is, fast forward a couple years later, and it's like, I was going to be touring with those guys last month. The tour got canceled, but it's like, it's so crazy how full circle a lot of this stuff has become, from you just telling me to do a reaction to Electric Callboy to me like touring with them and like having them on the channel for interviews and stuff. And like, it's so wild. In a weird way, I feel connected more to the music industry now than I ever was like on tour. And it's just this whole Twitch and YouTube thing has been so wild. And it is really because you put that idea in my head. But, you know, even though you're still touring, like, you're doing it too. It's like, so, you know, and I said when I introduced you that you are a giant nerd, and I mean that in a very endearing way, because I am too. But like, yeah, I've turned on your stream, and you know, you're painting Warhammer figures, and you're fucking dressed up like a mermaid or some shit.
Yeah, I went from like doing like the Warhammer figs to like I'm coming back to it a little bit because I have a couple of friends that want me to. But most of the time nowadays, it's like, how can I go make an ass of myself for like 2 hours and whatever? I play games, or like, I'll dress like a mermaid or eat spicy hot chips and, you know, drown myself in coffee creamer or something. I don't know. I don't even know what I do anymore, but I just get on because I enjoy meeting people. Yeah. So,
and it's so entertaining, dude. It's like, Twitch is fucking difficult. And it's like, that's what you said. Like, I was streaming Destiny. I was the dumbass that was just like, yeah, I'll get on Twitch. I'll play what I want to play. People are going to watch and I'm going to make money. Cause I didn't know better.
Yeah.
Dude, my first, like, I streamed for 2 months on Twitch before I ever did YouTube. And I think in that 2 months I had like 2 or 3 average viewers every time. Like, I was like, this is difficult.
It baffles me how, if you like look at the top users of Twitch, I'm always like, oh, you know, there's so many affiliates. So many affiliates. Yeah. Like, I'm an affiliate, everyone's affiliate. But it's like, it's so easy to get, but there's so many people that don't have it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you not have it? If you've been streaming for like a year, how do you not have it? And it's like, literally because it's hard to get that first 5 people to watch you all the time, you know?
Well, like, I saw you post year end of the year stats or something. And this is a good example of how difficult or how crazy oversaturated Twitch is. What's your average viewers like? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
no, right now I'm honestly, like, active chatters wise, I probably got like 4 or 5 on any given stream.
Okay.
But the viewership, I'm probably around 12. Like, I top out around like 20.
Okay.
On some streams, but most of the time I'm around 12.
And according to your end of the year stats, you're in like the top 4% of streamers on Twitch. That's how oversaturated Twitch is, dude. It's crazy. Like, like me, my end of the year stats on Twitch is like top 2%. And I was like, wait, what? How is that possible?
And you're like, I get like 100. Yeah. Like, you're like averaging like around 125 or so, right?
Yeah. It's a little higher nowadays, but I attribute that directly to YouTube. Like, dude, if I were a random person that came across my streams, I probably wouldn't watch them. Like, you know, Finn McKenty, YouTuber that does music stuff, put it very, very well recently, where I was talking to him about streaming and content and stuff. And he goes, think about it. Like, you're just a chef in a kitchen, dude. Like, and he goes, and I really started thinking about that. And I was like, wow, that's a good analogy, because a lot of people do, they go on stream and they do what they want, just expecting everybody to watch. And then people don't watch and they get really aggravated and they lose motivation. But like he said, you're a chef in a kitchen and you've got to prepare something that people are going to enjoy. Yeah, and that's a good way of looking at it. And that's like, that's why there are times where I would love to just jump on stream and do nothing but play Destiny for 2 hours. But the thing is, I see the numbers. Nobody's interested in it.
Everybody be bored.
Yeah.
You know? That's why, like, I started, like I said, like I kind of changed from Warhammer stuff, and I'm actually kind of getting back into it a little bit. But like when I first started, I realized nobody wants to sit here and watch me just paint, you know?
Yeah.
And I had a couple of like heart to hearts with some other people, and like obviously I've asked you for advice sometimes and here and there, but like overall, I'm like, if you're gonna be on Twitch, and like, this is like where I thought like what you do is really easy for, like, not easy, but like that is your personality.
Yeah.
You have to be able to tell stories,
Mhm.
and you have to be able to like give people your genuine self at any given point, because if you fake it, you're not going to get there.
Yeah.
And if you actually care and be genuine and tell stories and like hang out and chat with people like you would at a bar, you'll get viewership.
Yeah.
But if you just sit there and like I said, if you sit there and play Destiny or Apex or Rocket League or whatever the fuck you're gonna play, and you're not talking or you're not engaging, like I'm gonna click off right away. I'm gonna go to the next stream.
And I watch a lot of videos on YouTube of like, I don't know what you would consider their content, but it's people that talk about how Twitch works and streaming works and stuff like that. And
just like Twitch helper support.
Yeah. And I saw a video recently where somebody was like, you know, if you're going to be, he said the problem with being a video game streamer, like a dedicated video game streamer, is that most people think that it's easy as just playing a game and people will watch because they like that game. But he goes, if you're going to be a video game streamer, you either have to be in like the top 0.1% of skilled players at that game in the world. Like you have to be so good that people know they're going to be blown away when you play. And if you're not, your personality has to be in like the top 0.1% of entertaining people, because if it's not, nobody has a reason to watch your channel. Yeah. And that's why a lot of the streams that I do now are music related or just chatting and stuff like that, is because anytime we play a game, and it's just how it is. It's like we turn on Fall Guys, viewers drop. We turn on Rocket League, viewers drop. Call of Duty, viewers drop. And what it's made me realize is that, at least for me personally, for Twitch, like people are there to hear about music and fucking road stories and shit. Nobody gives a fuck about me playing games as much as I like to. Now, I will say there's probably a couple people that are interested in it, and that's cool, but like, that's why I play video games on my own time now, and I don't do it on stream, because that's not why people have come to my channel. And one of the other things I realized too is like, you know, you look at numbers are like a good tell of how you're doing, but they can also be very discouraging, because it's like,
especially when you're starting off.
Yeah. Like as of right now, I think I looked at this one. I have like 170 some thousand subscribers on YouTube. But when I stream on Twitch, there's between 100 and 200 people there. It's like, where are those other 170 some odd thousand people? And it's like, people, I'm fine with that. I understand how this shit works, but there are people that get discouraged by that. They're like, why do I have this many people following me here, but they're not following me here? It's like, I know people that have 500,000 followers on TikTok, but they can't get 10,000 followers on YouTube. And it's because all these platforms are so fucking different that you have to adjust to them.
Well, yeah, like for me, like let's just say like for Twitch, I'm like just on the cusp of getting 500 followers. Yeah, just like very small number, but whatever. But like if you go to my Twitter, like actual people follow me that aren't bots, I'm probably at like 60. You know, like dude, or Instagram or whatever. It's like I'm like my numbers are all low, but if you go to like TikTok, I'm close to like 700 or whatever.
Yeah, your numbers crush me on TikTok.
Yeah, like I'm okay, but like I stopped making content for TikTok, but because it's so time consuming. Like this all the content creation, that like I think this is where I struggle the most, is time, because I'm not sitting at home, you know. I'm on the road, I'm constantly moving, I'm constantly like the other day I had somebody who was like, hey, I want you to like do like I have on another couple podcasts, and they're like, hey, on Wednesday when you get home, will you do a podcast? And I'm like, dude, I'm burnt out. Like I slept 3 hours. Like I'm not in podcast mode. Yeah. And you know, I'm like still like, you know, my back's still hurting from the bus. And honestly, I stayed up too late drinking and took some guys to the airport the next morning and whatever. And so it's just like for me, it's just so hard to set a schedule for time. Like I know when you stream, you're on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays. Like
Yeah.
I have it in my head, like, all right, Tank's gonna be on at 1 o'clock. Like
Yeah.
I know that, like in my head, or noon or whatever. And I can't set that kind of schedule. And I think that's
Yeah.
for me, that's the hardest part of my growth, is that I don't have the time to build content, and I don't have the time to like necessarily stream all the time.
Yeah.
So
And it's difficult, man. And I understand that, because I'll tell you right now, if I were still touring full time, there's no way I'd be able to knock out what I am. And it's kind of weird how all of this worked just for me personally, is because I started doing this right when the pandemic pretty much started and everybody was at home anyway. So that worked out. And then I made that decision in my head, is like when Claire and I had Ingrid, I was like, I'm going to stay home for a while. So that kind of burned it into my head that like, I need to do something with this content stuff. I need to make something of it, because if I'm going to stay home and be with my daughter, the other option is touring.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, dude. Like, what the fuck are we going to do if we're not working on the road? I don't know what I would do.
At best, right now, the only other offer I have to get off the road is to be a shop manager.
And that makes sense for you. Yeah.
Right. And like in my brain, I would be like, no. Like every time I'm offered it, I'm like, my number goes up, because like I know myself well enough. I'd probably be so depressed not being on the road.
I will say, I thought I was going to be the same. I do miss the road. I will be honest and say that, but not nearly as bad as I thought I would. Maybe because I do have a daughter at home now. But like, dude, but for me, like you being in the field of like, lighting tech and stuff like that, like you could work at a shop.
Right.
The best shot I have is like fucking working at the guitar desk at Guitar Center.
Or fucking sound check or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Tape.
It's like, I don't want to do that. Like,
I think, but one thing you've always been really good about, and like, it just goes to who you are, but you've always been really good about getting like, I don't want to say sponsorships, but like relationships with companies.
Yeah.
Like, Violent Gentlemen and stuff like that. Like, you've always been very good about making those connections and getting some kind of like, I don't want to say a deal going, but like, they hooked us up with all our DL crew shirts at some point.
Yeah.
And like, you always had like kind of a hookup with something. So I feel like you would end up as like a sales rep of some sort.
And, I think part of that is because when I was in college, I did work in sales, like for a company and stuff. So I've me, like I talk a lot. I like to tell stories. Like I can get on with pretty much anybody, but, a lot of that relationship building in the music industry though, is also from like, for example, working for Dustin, it's like, I like a lot of the time, I don't know if people realize a lot of the times the artists themselves aren't the ones that are like talking to the companies that are endorsed by, it's their techs. So it's like, I was the one that was always in constant contact with Breedlove and ESP and Ernie Ball and all that stuff. So it's like, I've talked to so many of these people so many times that it's like, it's kind of just part of the job and stuff like that. And it's like, I probably, I don't know. I feel like connections that I've made on YouTube and stuff as well. It's like, hey, maybe I could fucking work at a record label or work for one of these gear companies. But this is a conversation that a lot of us roadies have a lot. It's like, if we're not on the road, what are we going to fucking do?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely came up with when COVID hit.
Yeah.
I was going through a lot of stuff, but my parents kept asking me like, what are you going to do if this continues to go on? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Haven't thought that far. And, like, well, you should go, like, I get the conversation with my parents like every other month. You think we should go back to school? We should go back to school. And I'm like, I don't want to spend $100,000 to go get a master's degree in theater.
Yeah.
Because that's dead. And I don't want to go into for computer programming because I'll again, it's too repetitive. I'll hate myself.
Yeah.
But doing great.
Yeah.
Went and got a networking degree or whatever, like a associate's degree in something. And he's doing great now. And, like, that's where I'm like, it'd be very difficult for me to change jobs. I think if I did, I would end up trying to do more video stuff like this, like editing and helping out content creators, like upgrade their streams and things like that. But yeah, it's like I have no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I try to get into film of some sort and be a grip.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I've had this conversation with Claire so much because it's like, and even my dad. My dad is a very realistic person. Sometimes maybe a little cynical, but very real. And he's like, "What's your plan for when this ends?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "YouTube isn't going to last forever." It's like, maybe not, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I've since I was 18 years old. I was this is the roadie life, dude. We never know what's coming next. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's just like me right now. I don't know if I'm going to be working for Brad Paisley next year or if I'm going to be working for somebody else.
well,
like,
that's the crazy thing about like our time that we worked for Dustin. That's a fucking anomaly in our industry, dude. You don't get put on full time with somebody. It's like 90,
especially as a lighting tech.
Yeah, 90% of roadies are looking for their next tour when they're currently on a tour. And that's how I was for years. But I feel like that's how I am in life. It's like, fucking COVID happened. We couldn't tour. All right, let's try YouTube. All right, let's say fucking my YouTube channel sucks, or I pull a fucking, I say the wrong thing and I get, my channel gets canceled or something. It's like, I'll just Claire.
I'll go work for Home Depot, I guess.
Claire fucking jokes all the time that my catchphrase should be, "We'll figure it out." Because anytime something comes up, she's like, "What are we gonna do about this?" I was like, "Oh, we'll figure it out." Because that's literally how I look at life. It's like
that's can't plan. My ex would say too. She'd be like, "Your catchphrase is either we'll see or we'll figure it out."
Yeah, I mean that's you can't. You can plan enough for certain things, like you can plan financially if you want to and stuff like that. But when it comes to shit in life, you can't plan for certain things. Nobody planned for a fucking pandemic happening.
Oh,
like nobody. So what did we do? We figured it out. Exactly. So it's
and that's how it is with most of us. Like in life, it's like very rarely you get like a gig where you're locked in and you're the guy.
Oh,
so when you finally get to that place in that, what I mean? Like when you find her in that place, you end up with somebody coming out and being like, and it's a new production manager, and he fired all the crew, and we recycled everybody. So yeah, it's like it's very rare that you get to stay with one artist the whole time.
Yeah. And it's crazy because like people don't understand what that means. Like I tell people that I like toured with Van Halen and they're like super impressed because they, in their head, they're like, "Oh, Van Halen, huge. You probably made a lot of money." I made more money working for fucking Dustin Lynch than I did working for Van Halen.
Yep.
Like, and a lot of that was age, experience, job, like stuff, job title on the road and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like people get impressed over the big names, but it's like I've made more money working for smaller artists full time than I did doing one of those really big legacy act tours.
Yep.
So,
well, and those big tours, you're just a number.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, like you're. For me, they always call us L something. So like, big tour like that, I'd be like L6. And all I would do is set up 2 hazers all day.
Yeah. I was the assistant merchandise manager on Van Halen, for God's sake. It's like
exactly.
It's just, on tours that size, pretty much anybody's replaceable. Like overnight. I mean, when that Van Halen tour started, dude, I don't know the specifics behind it. From what I was always told, it was David Lee Roth had a problem with certain crew people if they did the wrong thing, but like there was like 12 people turned over in the first week of that tour. And it was like production managers, stage managers, like people that you would think shouldn't be replaceable on a tour of that size, but they were.
Right.
Anybody in our line of work is replaceable at any time. Then that is the unfortunate part, no matter how good you are at your job.
So I was doing a CCM tour, which is Christian music, which I'm not a big fan of, but they pay the bills.
I've done many of those.
Yeah, so I was paying the bills, and I had this kid, and he sucked. He just sucked, 24, knew it all, I've worked way bigger gigs than you've ever done. I'm like, I don't care, like you name drop something, I'm like, okay, neat, and but I was his crew chief, and I was literally like, telling him like, dude, you gotta shape up or I'm getting you a Greyhound bus home.
Yeah.
Like you're being an asshole to me and the stagehands and everyone else because you feel like you should be crew chief instead of me. and this isn't your tour. It's mine. Like
Yeah.
I'm the boss on this one. And we got in a big fight. And basically, I called the company I was working for, and they're like, if you need to replace him, replace him. And so I was like, well, we come home in a day, and I'm gonna have a chat with him and tell him that shape up or you're gone. Mm-hmm. And of course, we found out that I was serious because he called the company I'm working for, and they went, yeah, if you don't shut up and listen to him, you're gone. Like, it's his call. If he wants to send you home, he sends you home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it goes, man. Like, we've all had that conversation a few times. Like, yeah. I know you had that conversation a couple of times. I've had it.
Yep.
Like I said earlier in the podcast, I said it. I was like, I've had that quite conversation twice.
Yeah.
And it really jars you. Like, okay, gotta shut up and do my job.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because in this industry, I feel like that ego and that cockiness can be at any age, because like, I'll fully admit, like when I asked you earlier, I was like, did you have any tours that like really, like, dude, mine was that Van Halen tour. I was 23, maybe 22. And I was cocky because I was like, I got on a Van Halen tour and I've done other arena tours and I know exactly how the industry works. Dude, I got shit on when I first started that tour. Those old fucking seasoned, like lifelong roadies out there, they were not impressed. They thought I was a little punk fucking cocky kid, and they put me in my place very fast. Our Live Nation rep, it was actually one of the best compliments I've ever gotten. Our Live Nation rep on that tour pulled me aside at the end of the tour and was like, hey man, I just want to tell you how good of a job you did on this tour, because when you first started, I was betting you were going to be gone in 2 weeks. He goes, you came into this tour as a very egotistical, know-it-all little shithead kid. And he goes, a lot of other people I've seen on the road wouldn't have handled it like you did, and you learned a lot. You finally shut the fuck up and listened to other people. And he goes, I would be happy to have you on any of my other tours. And that to me told me right there, I'm like, okay, I don't need to be a know-it-all. Yeah. Like I can learn. I can shut the fuck up and learn, and that's what I try and do.
I had the exact conversation as well with one of my LDs.
Yeah.
He's like, you fucked up this tour so bad in the beginning, but you turned it around, and like, now I'd take you on any gig I have.
Yeah.
And that meant more to me than anything, because then a week later, he's like, I think you should move to Nashville.
Yeah.
And you'll be, a hot commodity in Nashville. You're a great guy. You can do it. And like, fucking 3 days later, I packed up a U-Haul and we moved to Nashville.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are learning moments, dude. They're invaluable learning moments. You can learn a lot when you fuck up.
Yeah, sad but true. Yeah.
I mean, that's, and it's all about how people take those moments too. I mean, you witnessed my entire start of my sobriety. You knew who I was when I was drinking, and it's like I had that moment where I was like, I can either keep doing this or I can fucking stop.
That was like, you went from drinking to, you started going to other substances.
Yes, which I have also been open about.
Yeah, you like replaced it with like, okay, well, I went from, drinking, now I'm smoking a lot. Now I'm doing this a lot. It's just like, and so I was there for all of that.
Yeah.
And I think around like around COVID time, right? Like, is when you kind of came out to me and said like, hey, I've been, doing some painkillers and things like that, and I'm just not doing good.
Yeah.
But now I've been talking to all these guys through AA and realizing it's not just about alcohol, it's about all addiction.
It's everything.
And you kick that habit too. And I'm like, dude, like, again, like, very proud of you for all that stuff.
Yeah, it is crazy. It's almost been 3 years now. And I've been open about that. I was like, listen, I haven't drank in 6 years, but that those addictive tendencies just replace themselves with other things until I finally got help and got sober. And again, it just goes, every single person's different. Like, I know people that quit drinking, but they still smoke, and that's fine, whatever. But like, for me, it finally got to the point where it was like, dude, the lowest point for me, like not drinking, but abusing other things, was when, Claire had back surgery and they gave her like wild painkillers, and I was fucking like snaking them out of the cabinet every night. And then one day she called me out and she was like, are you taking my painkillers? And I was like, no. It's like, you're probably taking them when you're like half asleep and you just don't remember. And I look back on that now and I was like, oh, it's such a fucking addict, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so yeah.
My dad was doing some like similar with alcohol for a while. Like I didn't know about it, but he was the guy that was like drinking like my liquor because I was like old enough, I was living at home, whatever. And he was buying he would drink my liquor that I bought and then realize, oh shit, he's gonna realize how much I drank, and he would like put a Sharpie line on the bottle to where he needs to fill it back up to, and then he'd go out and buy another bottle of booze and fill it up and then drink the rest of that bottle that he like bought. And it's like, when you're that level, you got to hide it. You have a problem, like,
yeah, but
my dad's sober like 15 years now. Yeah. So
that's awesome. But here's the thing. A lot of people with those problems, and I don't want to speak for anybody but myself, so I'll just say myself having those problems. You just learn to get better at hiding it rather than fixing it. You just, or at least you think you're good at hiding it. You're really fucking not. Like, and that was me. It's like, dude, when I got sober and started like telling Claire about like stuff she's like, I know. I was like, oh fuck.
Oh
like,
shit.
I guess I'm not as good of a liar as I thought I was. Like, but it's been an interesting journey through all of that because, you, at least for we'll stay and not sober, but not drinking. Like when I stopped drinking, like you guys were a big part of that. I mean, even Dustin, to this day, I should probably call him. I haven't really talked to Dustin since we've stopped touring, but like, I don't think he realizes how much of an effect looking back on it now, like him and like, after the whole incident in Mexico, it's like, they never reprimanded me. They literally sat me down and was like, is something wrong? They actually came to me from a place of concern rather than getting pissed and fucking reprimanding me. And even you guys on the crew bus were the same way. Like it was when I told you guys I got to stop drinking, everybody was cool fucking with everything. Nobody gave me a hard time. I remember when we got on the Cole Swindell tour, after the first day of that tour, it was an outdoor venue somewhere. I remember after the show, they were like, oh, Cole wants to get everybody around and do a shot and drink after the show, whatever. And they had the whole tour. It was like, fuck, there's probably 50, 60 people like in a big circle backstage and they were handing out shots. And I remember being like, I don't want one. I'm not taking one. And somebody in Cole's camp, I can't remember who it was, like gave me a hard time about it. They were like, dude, everybody's taking one. Take one. It's disrespectful if you don't. And it was next to me, our tour manager with Dustin, that was like, he's like, hey, he fucking told you didn't want one. I was like, damn. Like, people were very supportive in probably the most important time for me, which is amazing because a lot of people don't have that.
I think one of the biggest things you said to me when you're kind of starting off with all this is that, because I think at one point we were like joking about you having a beer or something, and you were like, it's not that I can't drink. Like you're like, I can drink, whatever. But it's like when I start, I don't know when to stop. And it's like that to me was like the biggest tell of like, that's for me like alcoholic. Like that's the level of like I can go have a cocktail right now and be fine, whatever, and then stop. But like when you don't know when to stop and you just keep going and going and going until the point of you're throwing up and obliterated and doing stupid shit, then it's like that when you said that to me, I was like, and all those like things triggered up in my head of like, oh, I understand it now. Well,
that's what I had to explain to Dustin one time. Like when he was talking to me about alcoholism, he was like, he's like, man, I just don't understand how you can't have one or two. Like, I go, think of it this way. I go, when we go out to a bar or something and like on a day off and like everybody's having a drink and it's time to leave. I was like, I will smash a beer before we leave because I don't want to fucking waste any of it. I was like, it blows my mind that you guys can leave half full fucking glasses on the table. And I think that was the moment that he understood too. He's like, okay, like Like that was the thing. And again,
I don't leave beer on the table like that because that's wasting money. But
yeah. But like, yeah, it's just you were around me enough to know it's like I didn't drink every single day.
No, exactly. That's where.
But when I was, it was bad.
That's when I feel like people can justify some of their alcoholism. It's like, well, I'm not drunk every day.
Yeah.
Or I'm not this every day. But it's like the problem is, it's like it's not that you do that. It's the problem of when you do drink, you don't know to stop.
Yeah.
You know.
And I tried to justify everything on the road. It's like, well, I don't drink while we're working.
Yeah.
But then after the trailer doors closed, I drink so much that I wake up fucking in a bunk full of bananas.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, everybody needs to, find what works for them. And it's like, I've said to people, I was like, I have nothing against drink, whatever people want to do. I don't give a shit. I still go out with friends that drink, like whatever. I just don't.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I still, like I said, I still have a cocktail.
Yeah. Fucking A.
And I have this like rule on the road for me. Like I try not to drink at all anymore, like on the road. But when I do, it's the first beer is like kind of for me, like, or like first drink is not enough. Like the second one's like, okay, this is putting me in sleepy mode.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you have that third one, you're in party mode.
Yeah.
And that's how I always like viewed it. Like if I go past number 2, I'm staying up all night and I'm, getting hammered.
Yeah.
So like I just never go past number 2. Like especially on the road, or if I have to be like focused, it's like, nope, I have 1 to 2 and that's it. But like anymore, I just don't care. Like this is honestly, like I don't feel like being that way.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't care. But yeah, dude, like I was thinking about the another thing about like you drinking. I was just like, yeah, like you pound a bunch of beers and like throughout the whole day you wouldn't drink any fucking water. Like, to the point where we make fun of you, like fucking getting on the radio and be like, Ian, drink water. Ian, drink water. And at one point, like in Phoenix, like you're fucking pounding Diet Coke all day. And we're like, you gotta drink some water.
It was I know what you're talking about. It's Mesa. It was Mesa.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, Mesa. That's right. It was 125 fucking degrees outside, and you're like just pounding Diet Coke and hanging out on the dock fixing guitars all day. And we're like, you should step inside and get some AC. And I have like our drum tech fucking taking riffs of his vape in the fucking refrigerator.
I have a picture of that on my phone.
I have it on my watch. I have that and like just drunk off his ass like in Vegas. Remember that?
I'm not gonna bring that up, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
So anyway, during that show, like we got through the show, like everyone's fine, but then you took a fucking hot shower after all the fucking heat that you've been doing with all day. And I just remember you barely got the bathroom door open, like just like collapsed.
I was like crawling like fucking butt naked out of the shower. I remember, dude, that like I got in the shower and after about 20 seconds of being in the shower, I started getting lightheaded. My vision started going and I like collapsed on the ground. And I remember crawling to the bathroom door and opening it and just like yelling to you guys, be like, hey, can you help me out here? And I remember our drum tech at the time he basically lied to the security people and said that they needed a medic for Dustin because so when he told them it was the artist, they came running. They're like, you're not Dustin. But you know what the most annoying fucking part of that whole story is? This bathroom was in the dressing room. So it was, the bathroom. And then there was like, you come out of the bathroom, but there's still a little area where there's like sinks and a mirror. And then it's the open dressing room. Yeah. Dustin had so many guests at that show that day and they were all backstage while this happened. And they were all blasting fucking like hip hop as loud as it could go. Medics are trying to come in the room. I'm fucking laying on the ground in my fucking underwear, like flat on my back on the floor.
I don't even think he had underwear. I think he just had a towel.
Oh, maybe it was a towel. I can't remember. But they literally, I'm fucking plugged up to an IV. I'm plugged up to a fucking IV. They got ice on my head. There's fucking medics around me. And meanwhile, there's fucking Flo Rida blasting at 120 decibels right next to us. And then these fucking drunk girls that are backstage that are guests are like walking up to me and be like, are you okay? Yeah. Like, can I do something for you? I was like, yeah, get the fuck out of here. Like,
I forgot, like, Yeah, so ran off to go get the medics, and me and we were like covering you in bags of ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think you got like the shivers from that because you like went from like such a high temperature
Yeah.
to like low.
I remember shaking uncontrollably,
Yeah.
like, and when they put the IV in too. But all I remember is fucking his hillbilly ass and all these fucking girls in the fucking dressing room just woo. Meanwhile,
they got a photo with you. Remember?
oh my God, there is a photo of me on the ground with all these fucking, all of his friends.
All these bimbos and things.
Yeah, it was.
I'm trying to bring that word back. I also call them
bimbos. Well, it was
bimbos and himbos. I'm trying to get himbos going. Himbos. Too.
Well, it was definitely a lot of the regular bimbos and himbos. Like that we saw a lot of the same people backstage at shows in certain areas of the country.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of those regular people. I got some heat recently. And I'm kind of curious in your thoughts, but recently on Twitch, we were talking about radio markets being dead. And I compared all of the radio charts in the US right now. And it's like rock is the lowest by far. It's not even fucking close, dude. Like,
and that will be in the US 100%. That will be every time.
So, and while we started talking about radio, I started bringing up the fact that I was like, but here's the thing with top 40 and pop and country, radio runs everything. Like they don't care about album sales. They just care about the next number one single. So I started talking about how every show we ever do, there's radio fucking programmers and hosts and shit backstage. And I was like, I'm like, they're the fucking worst, dude, because they know that they are in a position of power. We have been told by artists that we have to do whatever they want because they control the radio. And I made like a short that I put on Instagram where I was like, they're the fucking worst. And I was like, they're lame and nobody tells them they're lame because everybody kisses their ass because they want to be on the radio. Yep. I had so many fucking radio people that we know from the country market hit me up and just be like, damn, dude, going pretty fucking
That's
harsh.
how you feel, huh?
I was like, well, somebody needed to fucking say it.
The worst one, have you ever told the story of like that 2020 how we brought out, I shouldn't say his name, but the lighting tech that came out, we called him the tour killer? Or no? Okay, so remember right at 2020, okay, our first gig out, we had a stagehand die.
Oh my God, I do remember that. It was in Tampa.
Have you ever told the story about this? It was actually in North Carolina. Because I went back to that venue like last year.
It was North Carolina?
Yeah, it's like North or South Carolina. It was one of the Carolinas.
Are you sure?
For sure. I'm 100% sure.
It was a radio show.
Yeah, we were doing a radio festival.
That Dustin was headlining.
Dustin headlining, and Chris Jansen was.
Okay, well, I thought it was Florida. Maybe I don't remember it right. But yeah, the super, I have told this on stream, but the super short version of this is a stagehand that was running the spot ops suffered a major heart attack while he was up in the catwalk running spots during a show and died immediately. They couldn't get medical help up there. And the fucking,
I understand the spotlight shocked him and that triggered the heart attack, but
that I didn't know. I just know he had a heart attack. So I never knew that. But the fucked up thing about this situation is that we now have a person who has lost their life in the catwalk above 15,000 people directly above their heads. And the radio station wants everybody to ignore it and just keep going on with the show.
Yeah.
And when Dustin and then the other top billed act, Chris Jansen, when they found out, they're like, dude, we are not playing. Because if like, think about this. First of all,
it was like about 5 minutes before Jansen was supposed to go on.
Yeah. And they called it. I remember that. Yeah. That was one of those moments where I remember kind of being a part of that conversation when it was happening, because it was like the radio reps were there like, no, you guys got to keep, like, we got to go, like the show has to go on.
We got to do this.
And me and were like, dude, this is not a good look. Like
I told Dustin and that too. I was like, not only are you going to like look bad, if this ever gets out, you're all screwed.
This is going to be horrible. Yeah.
But like it seems weird, but like the union stagehands are a brotherhood.
Yes.
And if you piss one of them off, or not piss them off, but like if you do something this drastic of like, hey, one of your brothers are up there dead, guess what? Like, and you played a show, you have the possibility that most of the unions are going to know who you are. And when you come through towns, they're not going to help you.
Dude, I remember that loadout being so sad. Yeah. I remember that because
lots
like you just said,
men crying and
unions are a brotherhood. And that is a guy that worked in that union for 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't know his real name, but they called him Spider. Fucking super nice guy. I had worked with him before. That loadout was so sad because all of the other union stagehands knew while they were loading out, their fucking brother that they'd worked with for years on the same union literally just lost his life and is right above them. And they still had to fucking load out and do their jobs.
That was a hard stage managing day because I literally went to most of the hands and said, at any point during this loadout, you want to walk away, walk away.
Yeah.
Our guys can handle this.
Yeah.
You know, like if you get too emotional or whatever, walk away. And they're like, no, we got to work through this. I'm like, I get you. Just giving you the heads up. If you need to walk away, walk away. And we barely got our truck loaded. And then I remember like some fucking radio guy was trying to steal my like merch dolly to like roll a bunch of beer around. I was like, fuck you, man. I just strapped this up. I'm not undoing this. And he's like, I'm like, I fucking hate this. This is where I'm like, I fucking hate radio people. Because it's like, you're an inconsiderate piece of shit. Like literally a dead guy up there. You try to get everyone to play the show and now you're asking me for shit. And during that, I walked out, like I got done with that conversation, telling them to fuck off. And I walk into the stage and that's like, they're in moment of silence mode.
Yeah.
You know, and lowering the guy in. It was such a sad day. And then like 2 days later, we're in Orlando and like COVID's starting to start. And and then we go to Vegas and then the tour's done.
Dude, you remember we were supposed to go to Australia like 2 days after that Vegas show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember like, dude, yeah. But like back to the radio thing though, it's like, I can't tell you how many shows we've had. I don't know how much you had to deal with it. You know, you knew they were on stage, but like me as the guitar tech, fuck, dude, a show would start and a handful of these motherfuckers would come out of nowhere and just stand in my fucking world. And it's like, I would be nice about it.
Some of the worst germs.
Oh, I would be nice about it at first and be like, hey guys, like I need room here to move. We are in the middle of a show. Just, you can stand up here, just stand over here. I can't tell you how many times I've done a guitar change. Like I walk out on stage, do a guitar change and I come back and they've all set their beers like on my fucking tech top. And I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. Like,
or fucking, you know, especially for you, like you get it from both ends with stagehands and radio, but like, hey man, can I get a guitar pick? Hey man, can I get this? And it's just like,
that doesn't bother me as long as it's not in the middle of a fucking show.
Well, that's what always happened though.
Yeah. It's like, I don't care what anybody does all day, but the second that show, and you know how I worked, I'm in like tunnel vision during a show. If somebody gets in my fucking way, I'm like, that's the 1 hour of my life where I'm like, I don't care who you are. Stay out of the way. And
there's been times you almost knocked me over.
And unfortunately with radio people, there have been times where artists have told us, hey, a really big radio person's here today. They can do whatever they want. And I'm just like,
it's wild to me. Like, okay. It's wild to me that the Billboard Top 100 is still run off of the radio. Like it's still like, it blows my mind because I can't tell you how many times like I'm like artist wise, like especially like rock, but like country is same thing. Like how much are you really playing that song on the radio versus how many fucking Spotify plays does it have?
Yeah.
Or Apple plays or whatever. And I'm like, there's songs that like crush it on Spotify, but they don't play on the fucking radio.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how's that not number one versus what you fucking put as number one this week?
And the other thing too is that like they still make an argument that radio is huge, but they make it sound like that people are actually tuning in. But it's like, think about all the stores around the country and all the bars around the country and places that just have the radio on to have something on, like while people are working or shopping or whatever. Like people aren't really actively listening.
No, well, like at the same time, like Walmart has their own radio now. You know what I mean?
Like,
oh,
really?
It's called Walmart. Yeah, it's called Walmart Radio. And like they literally have employees call in because they win like $100 or some shit. Yeah, dude. Next time you're in Walmart, just like pay attention. You'll hear it. You'll hear like them call like, "This is Walmart Radio." Blah 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 blah. Well, who am I calling? This is Randy from store 256, and I just want to shout out my team. They're really cool. You know, it's like dumb shit like that. And like, this is the worst. But like,
can I hear "Don't Tell Me How to Live" by Kid Rock?
But it's like they literally they have their own radio station now, and like with streaming and stuff, dude, it's like so hard to like compete. Like I had Sirius XM for a year because it came with my car for a year, and it's like every once in a while I'd forget to plug my phone in and I would listen to it, and it's just like, okay, I'm hearing the same, and it's like Sirius XM, like this is like, okay, I'm listening to fucking Octane, like I should hear newer music, and it's like, oh, we're still playing fucking Korn from like 2002,
dude.
It's
the same thing in this town. It's like when I first moved here, it was like I'd be like, okay, what do we have in Nashville? 102.9 The Buzz.
Yeah,
and it's like we play the new alternative, like the newest, best, freshest alternative, and they're still playing the same Red Hot Chili Peppers, Rob Zombie, Alice in Chains. Nothing against any of those bands. I like those bands, but it's like,
no, I love those bands, but like I'm not hearing Electric Callboy. I'm not hearing fucking Nanowar Steel. Like I know they're European, but like even like some people are like, oh, have you heard of Motionless in White? And I'm like, nah, kinda. You know, like I've heard the name. Have I listened to it? Yeah. Nope. You know, like it's mind-boggling to me, like how much people think radio matters, and it's like in my and I'm like I don't know, I'm still in the industry, so I have to be careful, but I don't care like at all. I was listening to Buzz the other day, and I was like, why are these people on the radio? Like get off.
It's like, you know, to be fair here, I will say there are a handful of radio people I've met that I actually think are great people that I do like. Like,
who's the guy who used to come out with Dustin?
Yeah, but you're talking a radio rep for a label. I'm talking like radio DJs.
The actual radio people. Yeah. But it's awesome. But radio DJs wise, I've met only a few, like honestly. Yeah. And most of the time it's big eye rolls, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like I said, it's, you know,
every country artist has the schmooze tent, you know, or bar or whatever, and it's like
I'll beep this name.
Free drinks and getting smashed.
Yeah, I'll beep this name out, but I just want you to know who I'm talking about. But like, how many fucking times have we done shows where people have told us, "Hey, he's gonna be here tonight, and he fucking runs radio." Like, literally verbatim quote that I've said in this thing is like, he's daddy. Like, don't care if he's in your way. Don't care if he annoys you. Like, you need to put up with it because he fucking runs everything. And I'm just like, you know what?
If we don't impress him, we're not getting played anywhere.
Yeah. Like, which one of you is just going to fucking just suck it up one of these days and be like, dude, you're fucking lame. You're just fucking lame. Like, nobody has said it. And that's the problem, is that a lot of these radio programmers and a lot of these hosts that are tight with their programmers, they have way too much power, like, over people's careers.
You need somebody that's a very large size artist to come out and say, fuck you. And like, that'd be the only way to get it done.
But it's not going to happen. I mean, even with this whole Ticketmaster Live Nation fiasco, you still have.
I watch your stuff about that all the time, and I get so mad.
Oh, you still have artists that are fucking trying to like back up Ticketmaster. It's like the whole M Shadows from Avenged Sevenfold taking their side and trying to defend what they're doing. I'm like, I don't think that they're in his ear or paying him or anything like that. But it's like, I really do think in the back of his head, he's like, I need to stay in their good graces because we're touring soon and they're going to promote our tour, and I don't want to say anything to piss them off. It's like,
well, when you own 90% of the venues in America,
it's like,
you know,
that's what I was saying. Like, how many times have we done tours together where it's like there's a Live Nation rep on it? Every venue we're doing is owned by Live Nation. The merch companies are owned by Live Nation. It's all Ticketmaster. Fucking, it's crazy.
So like when one of my first headline tours with Dustin with you guys, the venues that were Live Nation sold the worst.
Yeah.
Because he was selling the ticket for like $35. It was a pretty good bill. Like, it was like Mitchell Tenpenny, Ryan Hurd, and Dustin.
Yeah, it was a good bill.
Now it's a pretty good bill. They're all pretty decent artists. But anyway, so you're like, okay, he's like, put it like $35. It's a pretty standard cheap ticket, I would say. But once you added all the fees and stuff, you're almost at $100. And then his VIP package, which was through his website, not Ticketmaster, was like 110. So you're better off buying the VIP ticket because
Yeah.
you got meet and greet, you got like
Early
a section in
entry,
the
exclusive
fucking early entry,
merch.
yeah, all that shit going on. And it's like, why the fuck would you even deal with Ticketmaster? Like, if you want to come see the show, because for $10 you get to meet the guy.
Yeah, that's dude. When I go to concerts in town now, that's why I don't go to the big venues. I'm going to like Brooklyn Bowl, Marathon, shit like that. It's because I'm like, dude, you go see an arena show or an amphitheater show or anything like that, and like your ticket fees are going to be higher than the actual price of the ticket.
Yeah,
it's like
the only thing I'm willing to pay for is wrestling. That's the only thing I pay for. Everything else, I'm like,
understandable.
No, get me a comp ticket, or it's got to be under $20.
Yeah. The crazy thing is like I have no problem paying for a ticket because I like to support the bands. But because of the YouTube stuff, I do often get people that are like, hey, can we put you on the guest list? And this is where I had a conundrum in my head the other day. I was shitting on all these radio people for being fucking lame and people sucking their ass. And I was like, I hope this doesn't start happening.
That's what you do, huh?
I was like, are YouTubers becoming the new fucking, like, are these bands and labels fucking kissing up to us because they don't want us to say anything or not play their shit? Or I'm like, I never want that to happen. Like, dude, I'll give you I fucking respect this move so much. So like I went and saw, the other night I went and saw, Space of Variations, Malevolence, POD, and Ginger. And I bought the ticket. But Space of Variations PR manager reached out to me and was like, hey, the guys put you on guest list if you want to go to the show. And I was like, all right, well, I already have a ticket, but cool, I appreciate it. And I've had the singer for Malevolence on the channel before.
Oh, nice.
Like just for a podcast.
For a chit chat, yeah.
And I messaged him on Instagram and I was like, hey, I'm going to be at the show tonight. And he's like, oh, cool, man. Like, fucking hit me up, whatever. So I hit him up. And it's not their tour. They're like second out of 4. So I was like, I'm not expecting backstage pass. I'm not expecting guest pass, nothing like that. I don't care. It's, whatever. And I was like, hey, dude, be cool to say hi to you guys, whatever. And he messages me back and he goes, I'll be at the merch table after the show. And I'm like, dude, that right there, I was like, there are probably like radio people or other people that would feel butthurt by that because they're like, oh, they're not treating me any more special than anybody else. And it's like, I actually respect that he did that.
That's a awesome move, Yeah.
Like, he didn't treat me any better than he was treating their fans.
Than any other fan. Yeah.
And I fucking have so much more respect for that than somebody that was trying to, like with a radio promoter, like kiss ass and be like, oh, what's going on? Like, yeah, come hang, blah, 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 because at the end of the day, I am just a fan. Like I bought a ticket to the show. I just wanted to go see the fucking show.
Now, you're a fan with a platform and a voice.
Yeah.
At the same time, like one of the best ones, like on TikTok at some point, somebody did like a video of Smash Mouth. And Smash Mouth was just like the dude was like just obliterated drunk and just like screaming at the crowd and not even like barely able to sing his songs. And it's like that one person's video of how shitty they are treating people went viral and like, what I mean? Like made a bad reputation. So it's like, is your platform quicker to get out information about like, hey, this is a bad experience, fuck them? Yes, but at the same time, it'll get out eventually.
For sure. I mean,
and like that's where I'm like, I respect people that are like, I'm gonna treat everyone as a person and respect the fact that, hey, every fan matters to me.
Yeah. And I'm not. I've said this many. Like, I have no problem name dropping tours I've been on and shit, and like talking how we're talking now. But I'm not in the business of airing people's dirty laundry. And since I've started YouTube, and we have friends that work for a lot of different bands. Dude, I have heard so much fucking shit, behind the scenes shit, since I've had my YouTube channel. Like, again, I'm not going to name names, but like I have a friend that works for a band that had a tour or some shows get canceled. And I found out that the reason that they gave to the public was bullshit and there was other shit going on, I could report on that if I wanted to. I could be like, I have an industry source that says this is what's really happening, but I'm not going to, because all that does is cause drama. That's behind the scenes information that, like, you know, I don't know, man. I don't want to be a fucking gossip outlet. And like, while I do have access to behind the scenes knowledge, I don't want to be like, okay, this is what the band said, but this is what their crew guy told me really happened. So fuck this band. They're lying to all you. Like, I'm not going to say shit like that.
Right. Well, that hurts your reputation with them. And
exactly. You know, and it's like, and but,
you don't need that either.
But then in the grand scheme of things, then I develop the reputation of being that guy, and no other fucking band is ever going to want to come on the channel or do anything with me or anything like that, because they don't fucking want to be associated with it.
And they want to come on the channel and be treated like a person and just hang out and chat with you.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's what I like doing. That's why I've enjoyed this conversation, because we've literally just fucking sat here unfiltered and, well, all
right, let's ramble. Here we go.
Yeah. These are fun for me, because you've seen it just as much as I do. When artists do media on the road, it's the same motherfucking 10 questions every time they do anything with anybody. And in my head, any fan can go anywhere online and just see the answers to those questions. That's why I like to just talk about whatever on here and be organic. I mean, it's, you know, and I'm having more fun talking, nothing against the artist, but I'm having a lot of fun talking to like you and other people in the industry. Like a couple episodes ago, I had this girl, Carrie, who's the LD for Little Caesars Arena in Detroit.
Nice.
That does the lighting for the Red Wings and the Pistons and shit. And she kind of went viral online because all the on ice intros that she programs for the Red Wings, she does it to like fucking Lorna Shore and cattle decapitation and fucking deicide and shit. Like, and they let her do it. And it's so fucking cool. Like,
right.
And having conversations with her, and it's like, dude, one of my next episodes I'm going to have on here is probably Zach Rossi.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, you know, we've toured with Zach. Yeah. You know Zach.
Yeah, I love Rossi.
Motherfucker did the world tour with Rammstein this year, dude. You know how many
fucking. So funny story about that. Okay, so I did a European tour with Brad Paisley, and I didn't realize me and Rossi were within a block of each other at some point during the European tour, because I didn't know he was on that tour.
Yeah,
and like everyone was like, "Oh yeah, the fucking Rammstein's fucking loading in over here," and I'm like, "Oh, that's fucking sick. I wish I could go to the show." Yeah, motherfucker was like at a restaurant a block and a half away from me, and I posted like the day later that I was in that town, like I was like updating Instagram or some shit. And he's like, "Dude, are you still here?" And I'm like, "No, I just fucking left." And he's like, "Fuck, I'm here." Like, yeah, I'm like, "You're in fucking Europe right now?"
You know how much that probably happens and we don't realize it. Like we're in the same towns, or like I've run into people I know in airports around the world that I hadn't seen on tours in years, and I'm just like, oh shit, like what are you doing here?
Just that's like me, like in 1 year, like after that NRA show to like now, how many times we met up with Granger Smith guys, and they weren't even like on the bill with us. They were just randomly
fantastic dudes
in a fucking club down the street,
dude. That fucking NRA show. We said we were going to talk about that, but I guess there's really nothing to talk about. I mean, all I remember, I actually have an Instagram, I think, from me and you waking up, because I'll never forget that day itself, because it sucked, because we finished a show somewhere else at like 1 a.m, and then we had a 4-hour drive and had to start loading in right when we got there. So I actually have like an Instagram story of me and you walking into this arena, and we're like, "Shaw, what time is it?" And you're like, 6. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
it was fucking butt early, you know.
And those I'm assuming everybody knows NRA, but National Rifle Association. We actually did an event for one of their things, and it was like, dude, it was just as wild as you could imagine. It's like you walk anywhere in the arena and the concourse, and it's just like gun shit everywhere. And Granger Smith opened for Dustin, and Dustin was headlining, and those motherfuckers did not like Dustin.
They love Granger.
Oh yeah,
motherfucker put a whole fucking can of chew in his mouth and started singing songs. And I love Granger, like he's fucking a phenomenal dude. But like I was like, damn, like we got showed up tonight.
Oh yeah, and there's a certain level of pandering that happens at country shows, anyways.
Yeah.
But when you've got a fucking alter ego named Earl Dibbles Jr. that wears fucking overalls and has a fucking shotgun mic stand and shit.
Yeah.
Those people are gonna love you. And then
They
you got
loved him.
Dustin coming out.
Dustin singing, "You little mind reader."
Yeah, you got Dustin playing
you
Mind Reader and Small Town Boy and Cowboys and Angels. I could just imagine there's probably like 1,000 hillbillies like, what the fuck is this? Like, gotta know your audience. Like, we knew going into that, we're like,
this is
Dustin, NRA convention. Like, this is gonna be weird.
Yeah. No, it definitely should have been flipped.
Like, yeah,
otherwise.
like, dude, the private events that we did for like Tracker Boats or some shit, that makes more sense. Or John Deere.
I remember that boat show. That was rough.
that was, yeah, that was rough.
We had fucking what's his face. And we had a good nickname for him, but I can't remember now. But we had one of the old monitor guy before.
Fuck.
I know his first name, but I can't remember. I think it was like or something. But
yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. What did we call him?
But I just remember he was
something to do with being a cheerleader, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Because he was a cheerleader in college or something. What the fuck was his nickname?
We had a really bad nickname for him.
The only was it?
He kind of sucked, huh?
Was it a bad one?
I don't know. Maybe it was.
The only bad nickname I remember that we had for anybody was Ass Juice. There is a story behind that. We weren't making fun of the kid. There is a character in the movie Neighbors where they're in the fraternity, and the kid in the fraternity's name was Ass Juice. That's what his fraternity brothers called him. And this guy we had on tour with us looked like that actor. That's the only reason we called him Ass Juice. We weren't.
I wish we could dox him. Not dox him, but like show his picture.
But the funniest part was somebody, I think it might have been, was like, hey, we got to stop saying Ass Juice over radio and in front of other people. So then we just started calling him AJ. Oh, fuck.
I remember the meme that we had. Because remember, he was like 21 or some shit. And he had constantly was like telling us how cool he was.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like when is Dustin gonna let me like grab one of the guitars and play on stage with him? Like, dude, really? But like, I remember one of the fucking times he's like going on, like, I guess like somebody snapped a picture of him and we started making memes of him all the time. And like little bubble chats of like, remember this one time I was like, telling everybody how to play guitar, even though they've been playing it for fucking 10 years professionally.
Yeah.
It was shit like that.
One of my favorite memories with this kid, I don't know if you remember this, but it was the first bus ride he ever did with us. Very first ride. It was when we were still doing bus calls at the Kroger parking lot.
Okay.
It was a long.
Ask if this was the one going home or the one going out.
This is the one going out, and it was like a long drive. It was like Nashville to like somewhere in North Dakota.
Like, no, we were going out to fucking Oregon.
Oh yeah.
We
you're
came
right.
home from we came back from Oregon.
Yeah. So it's his first ride with us ever. And he's sitting in the front lounge. We're watching a movie and he's like 5 minutes into the ride. He's just like, and this is like a fresh 21-year-old. He's just like, well, guess it's about beer 30. And he slides open the beer cooler. In most tour buses in the front, they have like a little sliding door that's like a cooler that you can dump ice and drinks in. We had beer in there. Well, he reaches in and he pulls out a fucking O'Doul's, one of my non-alcoholic beers. And he fucking cracks it and starts drinking it. And we're like, I think he looked at me for me to say something like, hey, you're drinking one of my non-alcoholic beers or something. I didn't. I just wanted to see what he did. This dude's like, it's pretty good brew. Like, keeps drinking it. And like, after the first one, he's like, man, it's good. I think I got a buzz already. And we're like, me and look at each other. And he goes in there to grab another one. And I go, why don't you grab a real beer? And he goes, what? I was like, those are non-alcoholic. And he's like, nuh-uh. He's like, the one I just drank? I was like, yes, that is a non-alcoholic beer. And he goes, that's fucking stupid. Who drinks non-alcoholic beer? And I was like, I do. And he's like, oh, why? Like, because I'm an alcoholic. And he's like, he was like legitimately confused. He's like, so you're an alcoholic, but you drink non-alcoholic beer? And I'm like, just fucking drink a Busch Light, dude. Just fucking shut up.
Just fucking shut up and do it.
Yeah, like,
dude. So the one I thought the story you're gonna go with was on the way home, because like everyone else took flights, but me, you, and fucking Ash Juice,
yeah,
rode the bus home because I was living at the time. So like we rode the bus home, and Ash Juice. So we're in Oregon, and there's like, Oregon's one of the few states that marijuana is legal. Blah 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 blah. So like everybody fucking loaded up.
Yeah.
You know, I think I even loaded up to like bring stuff home for my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, all right, we're all fucking loaded up. We got probably like 5-6 ounces of weed between all of us on the fucking bus, and we're riding home. And like you guys were pretty discreet about like doing it, like I didn't do it, so you like kept it to yourselves.
Yeah.
And this motherfucker was like always like, who wants to roll? Like I can roll the fattest blunt.
I remember.
I can roll the fucking best fucking weed. Like I can roll the fattest fucking joints. And
he was, dude.
And like, who wants to have a competition like who can roll a fucking joint the fastest?
Yeah.
And like we're all like, dude, we don't give a fuck at all.
I forgot how so into weed he was, because he was so young and naive, and he just thought weed was the coolest thing ever.
Dude, fucking yeah.
Oh.
Like I smoked so much. Like it's like, motherfucker, you're getting paid like $100 a week to be out here. Just shut up.
Yeah, he's an intern.
You're a fucking intern. Just shut the fuck up. And I'm like on the bus, and I remember because was like, hey, we're about to go through Port of Entry, and I can't remember what state, probably Wyoming or some shit.
Yeah.
But like we're going through a fucking way station, and it's Port of Entry, so like they stop every fucking commercial vehicle just to like run papers and check times. And this motherfucker's in the back lounge rolling a fucking joint. And I'm like, put that shit away. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, we're going through fucking Port of Entry. There's fucking police all over this fucking place. What the fuck? And like, he's just like, well, I didn't know. I'm like, motherfucker, we told you, don't fucking do anything until we get past this shit.
Yeah.
I just wanted. I was like, well, that's when I was like, I'm fucking done. I'm fucking done with this kid. And I already told us like, this kid's
he's not coming back. Yeah, I remember.
But I was like, fucking this piece of shit.
But I just,
if I get in trouble for having fucking an ounce of weed that I don't even fucking smoke, like,
I just, now that you bring it, I just remember every day, hey, you guys want to have a joint rolling competition? I'm like, no, nobody fucking cares. Like, cool, you're in college and you can roll a good joint, dude. It's not as cool as you think it is.
I remember he's constantly trying to like play the drums, and they also like at one point, because we had like the outdoor tent for the radio people and stuff. At one point, he like grabbed, I want to say it was like guitar.
He grabbed bass.
That's what it was.
And he started playing. And I remember I'm sitting out there and I'm like, what are you doing? Playing? I was like, those aren't yours.
Yeah.
And I remember walking out there and like looking at me and then looking at this kid playing his bass. And the kid's just like, what's up, dude? It's like, I'm a really good bass player, And it's like, cool, bro. And just walks away.
And I remember I'd yell at him on radio all the time, because I'd be like, what the fuck, dude? There's ice sitting outside the bus melting, and that's your whole fucking job. Your job is just to fucking put ice in coolers.
And then he didn't
know. Why the fuck am I doing this?
And then he didn't know to how to break up a bag of ice to put it in a cooler. So he'd try and shove an entire frozen together block of ice, like as big as our fucking midsection, like in the fucking cooler with everything. Oh my God, dude.
Dude, so rough. I was like, this fucking guy.
And then, God, we could sit here for fucking an entire day, probably telling ridiculous tour stories. We need to just
ridiculous ash juice stories.
One of these days, you should just come on like Twitch stream with me. We just have like, we just spin a wheel in whatever state it lands on. We just tell a fucking weird story from that state, because that could happen. Like, I mean, the fucking road stories that we all have are just so ridiculous. I feel like, if I'm being honest, I feel like we've probably gone further with some of these than we should. Like, that's why I'm probably going to beep out a lot of names. But like, this is okay. Before we wrap this up, because we've been here for a couple hours, I already know what your take probably is, because you've been talking openly. But one of the things I've been running into on YouTube is a lot of roadies have come across my channel now. Yep. A lot of other touring people. Half of them seem to really dig it. The other half seem very upset over the fact that I'm like openly talking about tour stories and things going on. And it's just like, what is the big secret that we have to keep here from the fucking general public? Why are you so upset about this? Like, do you think there's a reason for that?
I think people that make noise about like what we're talking about, in the sense of like, what you don't like, why are you telling the story? Why you? It's the ones that like have a hard on to like say fuck you and your success. You
Mhm.
know, like they're jealous of what you were doing, and I like in my head I'm like I don't care. Like I'm happy for you. I want you to be successful, but like I don't care if people tell the road stories about me or whatever because it's like I for one I don't do anything I would consider like I don't know. Like I'm okay with embarrassing myself, so
Yeah.
it's like not a big of a deal. Like now if you're like on here like Shaw's a shitting lighting tech and he's a piece of fucking shit and whatever, I'd be like I'd be upset.
Well,
But like if you were like saying like if you're just telling a story about like yeah this one time fucking Omaha Shaw like threw a beer and broke some girl's poor nose, I'd be like oh yeah, fucking happened.
yeah, but
You know?
I'm not talking about personal stories. I'm talking
Yeah.
like my video that I did recently where how much does a tour bus cost? And I actually took one of the estimates that I got from the Electric Callboy tour and showed people the breakdown of current busing costs and why bands can't afford it. There were people that were like, this is stuff that the general public shouldn't know. Like you're talking about industry secrets. And I'm like, what
Nah,
the fuck are you
nah.
talking about?
No, I want people to know. I want people to know that kind of stuff because like I'm very open. Like maybe I shouldn't be as open as I am, but like even with like other techs, I'm very open about how much I get paid.
Yeah.
You know,
Did a
like
video on that too.
yeah, like like on average when I was working for Dustin, I was making about 65,000.
Yeah.
And like I'm pretty open about my number. I'm like I make anywhere between like 1,800 to 3,000 a week
Mhm.
when I'm on tour. When I'm not on tour, I'm making nothing.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
like like I'm very open about talking about that stuff because I feel like people need to like understand, hey, we're doing this big ass fucking show and like the artist guarantees $125,000, but like there's a reason to this because the bus costs this much, the fucking gear costs this much, the employees cost this much.
Mhm.
Like there's a reason that your ticket's $85.
Yeah.
And like part of it's I think like people forget about that stuff like when they're buying these tickets they think like well a B-level country artist shouldn't cost me $100 and it's like well yeah if he's got 3 trucks out yeah he's spending a shit ton of money.
Yeah, you start thinking about crew people's salaries and
Mm-hmm.
any like gear rental they have from local audio and lighting companies and fucking buses and stuff like that. It's like, dude, you're thinking for an artist to actually make like a profit with a decent sized crew, like they've got to make over 50 grand in a week to even clear costs.
Yeah.
Like, and that's making because a lot of people look at like outlets like Metal Sucks and stuff, they like to report on ticket sales and then prices. And they're like, oh, so and so made this much money at their gig. And I was like, no, they didn't because managers are taking a cut, booking agents are taking a cut, promoters are taking a cut. And then they've got to pay costs on everything that they're renting and their crews. So I'm like, the artists are not making that much. Yeah. Local labor. Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason like Thomas Rhett and FGL, their stage manager is not necessarily a stage manager in the sense of like I'm gonna tell you what to do and where to go.
Yeah,
they're the stage manager that's like sitting there dealing with the union steward and going, "Hey, I cut 2 hands at this time, and you're charging me for them. You can't do that."
Yeah,
they're more financial bookers than they are, that kind of stuff. And like I said, for me, like I want people to know, like, I'm very, as you can tell, I'm very open about sharing road stories because for some reason we are as roadies or as backstage people we're very there's not a lot of stories about us or like elusive about us or whatever you want to call it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
very,
It's kind of like a mythical thing.
a mythical thing. Like everyone's like, oh, what do you actually do? And I posted like some videos when I was doing all my Shaw stuff of like us doing backstage goofy stuff. Like, and I had a lot of people like I'm not trying to be whatever, but like I had a lot of people come up to me and be like, I love your videos. Like you're like because you show us real things going on backstage. You're not like faking it or you're not acting. And we like more and more people tell me every time I stream on Twitch, they're like, when are you going to do another? I did like when I was on Kane Brown, I did a tour, a backstage tour of Kane Brown.
Yeah.
And I have multiple people remember that stream because they're like, when are you going to do another one like that? Because it was so much fun just to see like the tour bus, the catering, like that kind of stuff. And like I think about trying to do it, but then I'm like, Man, there's so much like there's like red tape I have to watch out for, and you know,
Yeah.
but like to the point of like financially, why I'm open about that stuff. Like, so, uh, not to get too involved, but like when I was doing Within Temptation, um, you know, I was talking to some of the band, and they basically said that they're not making any money coming over to the states.
Oh, I wouldn't imagine they would.
You know, like
Yeah.
they lost money because you know they're freighting their gear over, they're bringing all the people over. You know, I mean, like it all costs money, and they basically told me, and you know, that it's hard, especially as a metal band, to come over because you're not going to make any money, and you're basically, unless you have somebody else on the bill with you, like, you know, if you like had Within Temptations, In Flames, blah blah blah, like then you might break even. But if you're just solo acting it, the chances of you breaking even are very very slim.
Well, dude, that's with the Electric Callboy tour, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody looks at them like they're blowing up, they're fucking really popular
Yeah,
right
huge.
now. Dude, I was basically production managing and like tour managing stuff on the US side of things. So I was doing all the rentals, I was doing it like they weren't going to make money coming over here. I know how much they were spending and how much they were making, and I'll tell you right now, when a European band is coming to the US, they're coming over here to give a show to the fans and they're not making money. And that's just the reality of it. I mean, unless it's a fucking huge band.
Yeah.
Like they're, you know.
Yeah, unless you're like the size of Iron Maiden or something like that. You know what I mean?
You know,
but
like,
yeah, they were just like telling me like, yeah, like basically they were like, we don't know if we're going to come back.
Yeah.
Like in the next 5 years. And I was like, damn, because I'd love to tour with them again. And they were like, you know, I got to be good friends with all of them. So like, they're like, we'll just move to Europe. And I'm like, that's easier said than done.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when Claire and I were looking at moving, we were legitimately like, should we move somewhere in Europe? And again, easier said than done. But yeah, that is the sad reality. Like a lot of like American speaking, North American wise, like, or even Canada too. A lot of these people are always like, why don't these bands that we like from Europe come over here? It's because it's just not financially viable. It's not worth it. It's like these bands would love to come over here and give their fans a show, but you're talking, if they take 2 months out of a year to come to the States, they got to pay for visas for their band and crew. They got to pay for flights. They got to pay for transportation and gear. They're not going to make any money. And then that's 2 months of touring they could have done in their home area where they could have actually made money to survive, where they're just not over here.
And how their work visas work is very difficult. I don't know if you ever talked about that. Have you?
Yeah, a little bit, but
like,
it's just
with like you have to have a basically a work visa A, and then everyone else from that work visa can be a work visa B, and it's a little bit cheaper. And they have to get social security numbers here so they can pay U.S. taxes.
Yeah, but visas are so bad right now too. Like Bloodywood, when they were just coming over here for tour, dude, their visas got approved 12 hours before their flights to the U.S.
Wow.
And that was because their embassy got involved. Like they would, and like, dude, it's crazy. And then I didn't know this until recently. Like we as Americans fucking barely have to do that shit.
No, when I was over there for Paisley, I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, that's like when I did a tour with Walk Off the Earth years ago, they were all complaining one day about their visa because they were all Canadian. I was the only American on the tour. They were all complaining about their visas. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? And they're like, our work visas for US entry. And I was like really confused. And one of the crew guys was like, do you not have to get a visa to come tour in Canada? And I was like, no. And they were like, what the fuck?
Well, we get away with some of that too. That's another thing. Like, so if you like work like a Broadway theater tour, most of the time they pay you per state.
Yeah.
So like you have to pay income tax in every one of those states.
That sucks so bad.
Which such bullshit, because it's like, well, there goes like $50 of TurboTax every fucking 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But for us, as like most of the time, like being roadies for country artists or possibly rock or whatever, or company, we get paid out of Tennessee the whole time.
Yeah.
So we don't have to pay every income tax. Even though we worked in California, we're not paying California income tax on our current money.
Well, it all depends on the accountant for the actual tour operation too, because I have a buddy that worked for Disturbed, and they use Team Tours for all their accounting. So they get taxed. He got taxed in 48 states one year and had to do 48 tax returns. And I'm like, that sucks. So
you didn't do
bad.
Alaska. You basically just didn't do Alaska and fucking Hawaii.
Exactly.
Huh?
Yeah. I'm like, that sucks so far. I've luckily in my career, I've never had that happen.
Yeah.
Like
I've only had it happen once. And after that, I always ask, like,
I would rather just not do a tour that does that.
Yeah. Like, most of the time, like, I'm on W-2 anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't have to worry about like independent contractor stuff like that. But it's so like gross.
Yeah, dude.
No. When I came back from COVID last year, 2021, back to Nashville and touring, that I had to do like multiple tax returns because I was living in Nebraska for a while. I was living in Nashville for a while, and like it turned into a mess.
That sucks, dude. I mean, it's,
yeah.
I guess I consider myself very fortunate because, again, like, you know, a lot of the bands I've worked for have just taxed me out of the state that they either operate from or I live in, you know, so that works out. But, well, dude, we've been going for a while, and this was a blast, and I don't want to keep you any longer because I know you want to enjoy your downtime. But before we go, let's plug some shit, dude. We were talking about your Twitch. Where can people find you on Twitch?
Right now, you can find me on Twitch, HobbyTime168. I might change it soon. I don't know. I haven't decided, but it's HobbyTime168. I stream whenever I can.
Yeah.
I do a lot of crazy stuff on there, from dressing like a mermaid or shoving a cake in my face. Or the last redeem I had was I was going to make myself into the flying spaghetti monster by dumping a bowl of spaghetti on my head. So I do a lot of stuff like that. I also play some games. I paint some miniatures. Overall, I'm just like a crazy hyper person who will talk a lot and hang out with you. So if you want to come hang out there, I'm also on Instagram and Twitter. YouTube, I'm starting soon, I think.
Okay.
It depends on how much free time I got. But I'll be around, and I'm also in Tank's Discord. So if you guys want to hang out with me, you can message me on Tank's Discord as well.
Yeah. And for anybody that's watching this video on YouTube, I'll have links to all that stuff below and all that. But Shaw, thank you so much, dude. One of these days you're gonna have to take a trip up to the new house, hang out. I don't even think you've met Ingrid yet.
I met Ingrid.
Oh yeah, you did. You came to the old house when she was really little. That's right.
Yeah. Like right before you moved, like earlier this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely need to come up and hang out, and like we'll do this podcast again. So I'm sure we have another fucking 4 hours worth of stories we can tell.
At least, for sure.
Or like I said, well, I'll jump on the Twitch stream with you at some point.
Yeah, for sure. We got to do that. So
yeah, that'd be fun.
Well, thank you again, buddy. I appreciate it a ton. Hopefully I don't have to beep out too many names from this, but either way, I'm sure this will make for a pretty fucking entertaining one.
Yeah. Maybe just mute the names, you know?
I'll just mute it. I won't even we'll just mute them all out. So
yeah.
Well, dude, have a good time enjoying your time at home. And thank you again for doing this. And I'll talk to you real soon.
Yeah, man. Take care.
See ya. Well, thank you very much to Andy Shaw for joining us. Thank you to all of you that are listening. We could have gone so much longer than this. There are stories that I realized would have been hilarious to talk to him about after we got done filming this, man. I mean, just you spend so much time with these people on the road that every day just becomes, you know, something new, something funny. And it's like, he brought up stuff I forgot about, man. And it's fun for us. It's like kind of reliving those funny moments on the road and good times that we had. And maybe I'll have him on again in the future. Maybe I'll have him on Twitch and we'll just talk. Although live on Twitch, we can't omit any names. So maybe not, but I really hope you guys enjoyed that. I know there was quite a few sections where, you know, we had to omit names just because, but the stories are still there. The stories are still there regardless of if you know the people's names or not. And they were a big part of our life for the years that we spent touring together. So hopefully you guys had some laughs and maybe even got a little insight with some of the stuff that we were talking about too, because we did have a couple serious moments. Let's be real. But again, for any of you guys that want to check out Shaw's content, he is a super nice, highly entertaining guy. You can find him on Twitch on twitch.tv/hobbytime168. He doesn't have a schedule, like he said, because he is touring and doing things. So make sure your notifications are on. You'll be notified when he goes online. I try and check his stuff out when I can, even though it is at random times. And I'll put all of his social media in the description on YouTube for those of you watching on YouTube if you would like to check that out as well. But That's going to be enough from me for 2022, man. Thank you guys so very much for being along for the first 20 episodes of this podcast. This has been an absolute blast. I've already got some other episodes lined up that I need to record. The next couple are also going to be roadies. So you're probably going to get some more stories and some other things from other tours that I wasn't a part of at all. So thank you guys once again. For those of you listening on the audio versions, you can catch me on youtube.com/TankTheTech for reaction videos, behind the scenes music talks, and a lot of other stuff. You can also find me on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays on Twitch, twitch.tv/TankTheTech. And @TankTheTech is pretty much my handle on everything social media, except for Facebook, because somebody already took Tank the Tech. So it's Tank the Tech official. I used to hate people that did official like that, and then I was forced to, and now I feel like a giant hypocrite. But, God, I'm just sitting here thinking about this entire year and how fun it's been. And it's been wild. This whole content creation thing has become something that I never, ever, ever expected. I've met people from all over the world. Our Discord server is active all the time. If you're on Discord and want to join us, it's discord.gg/TankTheTech. There's, just people from all over. There's other musicians, roadies. We're always on there talking. It's a great time. And, the support from you guys in the community has been ridiculous too. I mean, I released merchandise this year. It's nothing super extravagant or fancy, but a lot of people have picked that up, and that helps my content and my channel a ton. If you want to check that out, it's www.tankthetechmerch.com. And before we wrap this up, just shout out to Rode Microphones for helping me sound so good on these podcasts. But we're going to wrap it up here, man. This has been a super long one for a lot of you that are listening. But thank you so very much once again. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season wherever you are in the world. Be safe, be kind to each other, and I'll be back here with more Back Lounge Podcast in 2023.